si vedono, però siamo in streaming. Sì, si potevano vedere, però oggi non hanno funzionato. Se volete prendere posto, cominciamo subito. Questi sono inamovibili. Benvenuti a tutti alla prima sessione di questo pomeriggio. Mi permetto subito di ringraziare il comitato direttivo dell'Associazione Italiana Alexander von Humboldt per aver scelto Lecce come luogo per la realizzazione di questo prestigioso convegno. Un ringraziamento va anche agli umboldtiani e agli umboldtiani dell'Università del Salento che hanno sostenuto con entusiasmo questa iniziativa e infine vorrei dare un ringraziamento sentito allo staff di studenti, dottorandi, collaboratori e docenti dell'Università del Salento che si sono prodigati per la buona riuscita di questo evento. Credo che ognuno di voi abbia avuto modo di constatare la professionalità e anche l'amore che i nostri collaboratori hanno messo nel sostenere questa iniziativa. A loro va un sentitissimo applauso. So, jetzt auf Deutsch. Ich heiße alle herzlich zu diesem Treffen willkommen. Ich begrüße besonders unsere Gäste, Dr. Thomas Esse, Sekretär der Alexander von Humboldt Stiftung und Dr. Federica Pisanelli des TAD in Rom. Herr Dr. Esse wird die laufenden Projekte der Alexander von Humboldt Stiftung und weitere Möglichkeiten für die Stipendiaten vorstellen und Frau Dr. Pisanelli wird die verschiedenen DAD-Programme vorstellen. Ich danke auch Frau Professor Maria Enrica Frigione, Zuständige für die Internationalisierung, und Herr Professor Domenico Fazio, Zuständige für Didaktik, für ihr Kommen. Bevor ich das Wort an Herrn Hesse übergebe, möchte ich kurz auf einige derzeit laufende Projekte mit deutschen Universitäten und Forschungsinstituten unserer Universität hinweisen, an der 11 Humboldt-Stipendiatinnen und Stipendiaten und ein Kowaleska-Preisträger arbeiten. Dieses Treffen ist ein besonders wichtiges Ereignis für unsere Universität, die sehr auf Internationalisierung setzt und sich als Brücke zwischen Mitteleuropa und dem Mittelraum versteht. Seit Jahren besteht Forschungsprogramme und Forschungsprojekte in Kooperation zu den wichtigsten Universitäten Deutschlands. Es gibt 2 Rahmenvereinbarungen zu den wichtigsten Universitäten Deutschlands. Es gibt zum Beispiel mit der Universität des Saarlandes für die Entstellung zur wissenschaftlichen Zusammenarbeit und die andere Rahmenvereinbarung wurde mit der Universität zu Köln getroffen. Insbesondere handelt es sich hier um eine Kooperation zur Realisierung von kritischen Editionen mittelalterlicher Texte des Zentrums zur Forschung und Edition von Texten aus Mittelalter und Renaissance CETEFIL mit dem Thomas-Institut zu Köln. Aufgrund dieser Rahmenvereinbarung mit der Universität zu Köln konnten kürzlich 2 wichtige Projekte realisiert werden. Das erste ist das internationale Doktoratsprogramm Philosophie, Formen und Geschichte des philosophischen Wissens, das in den 90er Jahren im Rahmen der wissenschaftlichen Zusammenarbeit der Universität del Salento und der Universität Paris-Sorbonne entstanden ist und das im Jahr 2012 durch die Vereinbarung mit der Universität zu Köln erweitert wurde. Es handelt sich um Promotionen mit gemeinsamen Doktortitel, Co-Tutel, eine italienische und eine deutsche Universität. Seit dem Jahr 2003 wurden bereits 19 gemeinsame Promotionen realisiert, und zwar mit den Universitäten Köln, Mainz, Freiburg und München. Das zweite große Projekt bezieht sich auf den Magisterstudiengang Philosophischen Studien. Ab dem kommenden Semester werden nämlich 2 internationale Studiengänge mit Doppelabschluss angeboten. Ein italienisch-französischer mit Paris-Sorbonne und ein deutsch-italienischer mit der Universität zu Köln. In diesem Jahr wurde das Marie Curie Initial Training Network abgeschlossen, das die Universität del Salento mit der Universität Freiburg, Oxford, Leiden und Antwerpen gemeinsam zum Thema Mobility of Ideas and Transmission of Text durchgeführt hat. In all diesen Fällen handelt es sich um Projekte, die es europäischen Bürgern erlaubt haben, Arbeits- und Studienerfahrung an renommierten deutschen Universitäten zu sammeln. Über weitere Projekte und Möglichkeiten werden nun Herr Dr. Hesse und Frau Dr. Pisanelli sprechen. Ich danke euch für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit und gebe das Wort Professor Dr. Domenico Fazio. Danke.
Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, liebe Kolleginnen und Kollegen, Humboldtianerinnen, Humboldtianer, es ist mir eine große Ehre und eine tiefe Freude, als Delegierte des Rektors die Teilnehmer dieser wichtigen Veranstaltung, die Loris Sturlese und Alessandra Beccarisi so gut organisiert haben, begrüßen zu können. Es handelt sich um eine Tagung, die die Anerkennung der internationalen Rolle, die die Universität von Salento, unsere kleine und junge Universität, gegenwärtig spielt, darstellt. Diese Anerkennung, die gestern der Professor Borri ausgesprochen hat, erfreut einerseits uns sehr, drängt andererseits uns immer mehr zu tun und immer besser zu tun. In dieser Richtung sind uns auch wichtig die Angelegenheiten und die Unterstützung, die die Alexander von Humboldt Stiftung bietet. Daher möchte ich die Hoffnung ausdrücken, dass unsere Zusammenarbeit immer mehr in der Zukunft sich entwickeln könnte und dass die Universität von Salento auch in Anbetracht seiner geografischen und kulturellen Eigentümlichkeiten immer mehr zur Integration zwischen Europa und Mittelmeerraum beitragen könnte. Danke viel.
Danke, Professor Fazio. Und jetzt das Wort Dr. Hesse.
Ja, als Naturwissenschaftler von Ausbildung her kann ich immer noch keine Vorträge im Sitzen halten. Das kommt mir komisch vor. Deshalb mache ich es im Stehen und versuche das so ein bisschen wie Herr Professor Stöcker zu machen, vorhin kurz gesagt zwischen Englisch und Deutsch ein bisschen hin und her zu switchen und hoffe, dass auf diesem Wege alle mitkommen. Ich möchte Ihnen ganz kurz die Stiftung vorstellen, damit Sie wissen, mit wem Sie es zu tun haben. Der PowerPoint-Vortrag ist auf Englisch und in der Mischung sollten dann, wie gesagt, hoffentlich alle mitkommen. Also Namenspatron Alexander von Humboldt, wahrscheinlich der letzte Universalgelehrte dieser Welt und seinerseits auch ein Förderer von jungen Wissenschaftlern, Wissenschaftlerinnen und Musikern. Was die Humboldt-Stiftung macht, ist eigentlich relativ einfach. Wir versuchen nämlich in den Fußstapfen Alexander von Humboldts zu folgen. Was er nämlich gemacht hat, war ein internationales Netzwerk der wissenschaftlichen Zusammenarbeit und das ist für die Stiftung besonders wichtig, des Vertrauens aufzubauen. Die Stiftung ist in verschiedenen Bereichen aktiv. Wenn man das zusammenfassen will, ist es zum einen mal, ist das zum einen die Unterstützung internationaler Wissenschaftlerinnen und Wissenschaftler vor dem Hintergrund der auswärtigen Kultur- und Bildungspolitik der Bundesrepublik Deutschland. Natürlich wollen wir Forschung, Wissenschaft generell fördern durch deren Internationalisierung. Wir wollen auch den Forschungsstandort Deutschland stärken und ein weiteres Ziel von uns ist, zu weiteren Entwicklungen durch die Wissenschaft beizutragen. Die Stiftung hat fürchterlich wenig Prinzipien, dafür sind sie aber umso wichtiger. Und unser Hauptprinzip ist, dass bei unseren Auswahlen uns nur eines interessiert, und das ist die wissenschaftliche Qualifikation der Kandidatinnen und Kandidaten. Als logische Konsequenz daraus haben wir keine Quoten, weder für Herkunftsländer noch für Fachgebiete. Anders gesagt, ein italienischer Rechtswissenschaftler ist uns genauso lieb wie ein russischer Kernphysiker. Die Humboldt-Stiftung Ich sagte, das Hauptziel der Stiftung ist, in den Fußstapfen Alexander von Humboldt zu folgen und ein Netzwerk aufzubauen. Ein Netzwerk besteht aus Personen, nicht aus Projekten. Deshalb konzentrieren wir uns bei der Auswahl unserer Stipendiatinnen, Stipendiaten, Preisträger und Preisträgerinnen auch nicht auf die Projekte, die vorgeschlagen werden, sondern auf diese Personen. Unsere Auswahlausschüsse sind aufgefordert, die vielversprechendsten Persönlichkeiten, seien sie jünger, seien sie älter, zu identifizieren, auszuwählen, die Persönlichkeiten, die in das Netzwerk passen. Und wir versuchen während der Forschungsaufenthalte der von uns Geförderten in Deutschland, ihnen Zeit dafür zu geben, was sie am besten machen können. Das ist nicht Anträge schreiben, das ist nicht Berichte schreiben, sondern das ist Wunder über Wunder Forschung machen. Deshalb sollen sie auch genau die Forschung machen, die sie wollen, mit den Partnerinnen und Partnern in Deutschland, die sie wollen. Und deshalb haben sie die freie Wahl des Kooperationspartners, der Kooperationspartnerin in Deutschland und die freie Wahl, was sie hier machen wollen. Ich sagte, der russische Kernphysiker genauso willkommen wie der italienische Jurist. Die Stiftung hat in ihren Programmen ein nicht besonders großes, dennoch signifikantes Problem an der Beteiligung von Wissenschaftlerinnen. Das korreliert letztendlich mit Lebensalter und Typ der Förderung. Das haben wir zumindest erkannt, arbeiten dagegen und haben insbesondere auch eingeführt, spezifische Maßnahmen mit der Situation von Frauen, die häufig auch der Familie stärker eingebunden sind, zu erleichtern. Ganz kurz zum Hintergrund. Die Stiftung hat ein jährliches Budget von etwa 110 Millionen Euro. Die Stiftung heißt Stiftung. Das bedeutet aber leider nicht, dass wir auch einen großen Kapitalstock hätten. Wir haben wir haben 5.000 Euro Kapitalstock. Das ist verzinst, sind es glaube ich sogar 25.000 jetzt schon seit 60 Jahren. Also wir erhalten jährliche Zuwendungen von Bundesministerien. Unser institutioneller Förderer ist das Auswärtige Amt. Unser größter Förderer ist unser Bundesministerium für Bildung und Forschung. Dann gibt es noch ein paar andere Ministerien, EU, ja, aber 97%, 95% sind Bundesmittel, die wir pro Jahr ausgeben. Jetzt erzähle ich Ihnen, was die Humboldt-Stiftung ist. Letztendlich will ich den Gedanken bei Ihnen fördern, das wäre doch vielleicht auch was für mich, genau darum geht es. Stellt sich die Frage, warum sollte das was für Sie sein? Ist ja schön, wenn die Humboldt-Stiftung ein schönes Angebot macht, aber Sie würden sich nicht interessieren, nach Deutschland zu kommen, wenn es nur um das Stipendium der Stiftung ginge, sondern Sie wollen da ja wissenschaftlich weiterkommen. Deshalb, warum ist es eine gute Idee, nach Deutschland zu gehen, wenn man wissenschaftlich weiterkommen will? Da kann ich jetzt nicht im Detail drauf eingehen, aber diese Karte Deutschlands zeigt die Verteilung der Universitäten in Deutschland sowie der außeruniversitären Forschungseinrichtungen. Hier sehen Sie zwei Sachen. Es gibt relativ viele und relativ gleichmäßig verteilt und es gibt verschiedene. Was haben wir an verschiedenen? Letztendlich haben wir etwa 100 Forschungsuniversitäten, die nicht in allen Gebieten immer Weltklasse sind, die aber mindestens in einer ganzen Reihe von Disziplinen international konkurrenzfähige Forschung betreiben. Dann haben wir die etwa 80 Max-Planck-Institute, die wahrscheinlich die bekanntesten deutschen Forschungsinstitute sind. Wir haben knapp 70 Fraunhofer-Institute. Das ist eine Gesellschaft, die konzentriert sich auf angewandte Forschung und Transfer von wissenschaftlichen Erkenntnissen in deren Anwendung. 18 Helmholtz-Zentren brauche ich nach dem fulminanten Vortrag von Herrn Stöcker. Müsste ich jetzt nur noch 17 vorstellen, das schenke ich mir aber auch. Das sind unsere großen nationalen Forschungsinstitute, die auch nationale Forschungsziele verfolgen. Und dann haben wir als letzte Organisation etwa 90 Leibniz-Institute, die in unterschiedlichen Bereichen unterwegs sind. Und alles in allem sind das im öffentlichen Bereich knapp 300 sehr gute Institutionen, die in vielen Bereichen Weltklassenleistungen bringen. Ganz grober Überblick, was macht die Stiftung? Zum einen, die Idee der Stiftung, die Idee der Vergabe von Stipendien und Preisen ist es schlicht und einfach, ausländischen Kolleginnen und Kollegen die Möglichkeit zu geben, in Deutschland mit deutschen Partnerinnen und Partnern zusammenzuarbeiten. Dafür bieten wir etwa 700 Stipendien oder sind vielleicht eher 800 Stipendien und Preise pro Jahr angeben. Was für uns extrem wichtig ist, und das geht wieder da komme ich noch zu sprechen, ist, dass wir zwei Sachen machen. Zum einen versuchen wir anzubieten verschiedene Programme, die passend sind für Wissenschaftler und Wissenschaftlerinnen und Wissenschaftler auf verschiedenen Karrierestufen. Die Humboldt-Stiftung fängt dabei Postdoc an. Postdoc und Professoren fördern wir. Da gibt es eine relativ klare Arbeitsteilung mit unserer Schwesterorganisation, dem DAAD. Die kümmert sich primär um Studierende, um Doktoranden oder auch um Professoren, dann kürzere Aufenthalte. Die Humboldt-Stiftung startet ab Postdoc mit Aufenthalten von 6 Monaten und mehr in der Regel. Und was ja schon auch ein Markenzeichen der Stiftung ist, ist, dass wir uns versuchen, um unsere Stipendiatinnen und Stipendiaten zu kümmern und auch deren Familien. Das nennen wir die Betreuung unserer Stipendiaten, unserer Preisträger. Und das Ziel dieser Betreuung ist es, das leisten zu können, was die Stiftung leisten kann, damit diese Forschungsaufenthalte in Deutschland für die Geförderten ein Erfolg werden, sowohl in wissenschaftlicher Hinsicht, aber auch in privater und persönlicher Hinsicht. Das ist jetzt, also kurz gesagt, das müssen Sie nicht merken. Was ich hier zeigen möchte, sind 2 Punkte. Zum einen die Masse unserer Programme, die Mehrzahl unserer Programme, die Mehrzahl unseres Geldes ist gedacht für Programme für Wissenschaftler, die aus dem Ausland nach Deutschland kommen wollen. Kleinerer Teil für Wissenschaftler und Wissenschaftlerinnen aus Deutschland. Und die verschiedenen Programme, die hier aufgelistet sind, zeigen Ihnen, dass es jeweils unterschiedliche Zielgruppen sind. Von ganz jungen, gerade frisch promovierten Bewerbern über etwas fortgeschrittene Postdoc zu erfahrenen Wissenschaftlerinnen und dann hinterher auch zu den international anerkannten Wissenschaftlerinnen und Wissenschaftlern, die Treiber des Wissens auf ihren Fachgebieten sind. Für alle verschieden bieten wir ein unterschiedliches Förderangebot an. Hier möchte ich kurz eingehen auf unsere Forschungsstipendien, da sie, glaube ich, hier in der Zielgruppe am besten passen. Und die Humboldt-Stiftung bietet insgesamt 3 verschiedene Forschungsstipendien an. Ich werde mich auf die Humboldt-Forschungsstipendien konzentrieren, die sind für Wissenschaftlerinnen und Wissenschaftler aus dem Ausland, alle Fächer, alle Länder. Aber alle unsere Forschungsstipendien sind in 2 Linien geteilt. Eins für die frisch Promovierten und eines für die fortgeschrittenen Postdocs. Unterschied ist, per Definition ist ein Postdoc für uns jemand, der seine Promotion vor nicht mehr als 4 Jahren abgeschlossen hat. Im Rahmen des Humboldt-Forschungsstipendienprogramms ist ein erfahrener Wissenschaftler jemand, der seine Promotion vor bis zu 12 Jahren abgeschlossen hat. In der Postdoc-Linie kann man sich bewerben um einen Forschungsaufenthalt zwischen 6 und 24 Monaten, in der Linie für die erfahrenen Wissenschaftler für 6 bis 18 Monate, die man in 3 Teile teilen kann. Grund liegt auf der Hand. Postdocs 5, 6, 7, 8 Jahre nach Abschluss der Promotion sind häufig schon Gruppenleiter, können sich einfach nicht mehr erlauben, wirklich längere Phasen das eigene Labor alleine zu lassen. Gut, in der Bezahlung unterscheidet sich das ein bisschen, aber das ist kein Riesenunterschied. Ich sprach an, dass es eine ganze Reihe oder eine wirkliche Vielzahl von hervorragenden Institutionen in Deutschland gibt, wo es sich lohnt, einen Forschungsaufenthalt durchzuführen. Das bin ich auch wirklich von überzeugt. Eine Voraussetzung in unseren Stipendienprogrammen ist, dass eine Bewerberin, ein Bewerber bereits mit der Antragstellung einen Kooperationspartner identifiziert hat oder benennen kann. Das heißt also, eine Kollegin in Deutschland, die willens und interessiert ist, sie oder ihn für bis zu 2 Jahre am Institut aufzunehmen, also ein Gastgeber. Und wir hören als Humboldt-Stiftung häufig, das sei so unglaublich schwierig, einen Gastgeber in Deutschland zu identifizieren. Das kann ich zugegebenermaßen nicht wirklich verstehen. In der Regel kennt man die aus der Literatur. Ich sagte, Sie gehen ja nicht nach Deutschland, weil es ein Humboldt-Forschungsstipendium gibt, sondern weil da gute Wissenschaft gemacht wird, dann sollten Sie auch wissen, wer die da macht. Aber anyway, wenn es ein Problem gibt, gibt es auch das Internet, gibt reichlich Möglichkeiten, auch wenn man die persönliche Kenntnis nicht hat, potenzielle Gastgeber zu identifizieren. Und das Beste ist hier der Research Explorer von DAAD und DFG unter dieser Internetadresse www.research-explorer.de. Die einfachste Möglichkeit ist die persönliche. Man fragt nämlich jemanden, der schon mal in Deutschland war, im gleichen Fachgebiet arbeitet. So, damit komme ich kurz auf die Forschungsstipendien, diese Humboldt-Forschungsstipendien zu sprechen. Ich hatte angesprochen, dass wir die in 2 Linien teilen. Bei beiden Linien gibt es Gleiche Voraussetzungen und unterschiedliche. Fangen wir bei den gleichen an. Das erste ist, um in Deutschland einen Forschungsaufenthalt als Wissenschaftlerin, Wissenschaftler zu absolvieren, muss man in der Regel kein Deutsch können. Es reicht, wenn man Englisch kann. Zumindest ist das die übliche Arbeitssprache in den meisten Ingenieur- oder naturwissenschaftlichen Bereichen. Das sieht natürlich ein bisschen anders aus, wenn man Medical Doctor ist oder wenn man in dem Bereich der Geisteswissenschaften arbeitet und einfach Originalliteratur lesen muss. Aber ansonsten reicht Englisch oder Deutsch. Ich sprach vorhin, dass wir bei der Auswahl uns konzentrieren auf die Person oder unsere Auswahlausschüsse sich konzentrieren auf die Person, nicht auf das Projekt. Trotzdem soll natürlich jeder Humboldtianer, der in Deutschland ist, auch was machen, nämlich ein Projekt durchführen. Deshalb muss auch ein Projekt vorgelegt werden. Das muss selbstständig ausgearbeitet sein, es soll neu sein, es muss nicht unbedingt Krebs oder Nano drinstehen. Wie gesagt, das geht auch ohne. Aber es muss spannend sein. Die 1000 und erste chemische Reagenz durchzutesten auf irgendeine Wirksamkeit, wenn bei den ersten 1000 schon nicht viel rauskam, die 1000 und erste zu probieren, ist jetzt nicht wirklich pfiffig, es sei denn, man erläutert, warum es pfiffig ist. Also unsere Auswahlausschüsse werden von uns darauf eingeschworen zu sagen, das ist eine wirklich spannende Idee. Und ob das dann en vogue ist, das Thema oder nicht, spielt überhaupt keine Rolle. Ich sprach an, dass ein akademischer Gastgeber gefunden werden muss. Das ist klar. Die Unterschiede zwischen beiden Linien sind in den beiden anderen Punkten. Auch von frisch promovierten Wissenschaftlerinnen und Wissenschaftlern erwarten die Auswahlausschüsse, dass die schon Publikationen vorlegen können. Im Bereich der Naturwissenschaften in der Regel internationale, Jura, Germanistik, Italianistik, mag das anders sein. Also auch bei jungen Postdocs Publikationen und bei den erfahrenen Wissenschaftlern einfach eine überzeugende Liste, wo ein Gutachter daran erkennen kann, ach, das ist der Schwerpunkt, hat sich auch nach den Publikationen hier von dorthin entwickelt, das ist, was dort erwartet wird. Postdocs müssen ein überdurchschnittliches Doktorat haben. Ich bin seit 22 Jahren bei der Humboldt-Stiftung, ich weiß noch immer nicht, was das bedeutet, aber also das müssen gute, frisch promovierte Wissenschaftler sein und die erfahrenen Wissenschaftler sollten eine gewisse Eigenständigkeit vorweisen können. Das mag sein als Gruppenleiter, das kann aber auch von Situation zu Situation sich anders darstellen. Die Bewerbungsprozedur ist so einfach, wie es nur geht. Man kann sich direkt bei der Stiftung bewerben, wann immer, es gibt keine Einreichungstermine. Die Entscheidungen werden durch ein unabhängiges Auswahlkomitee getroffen. Vorher gehen alle Anträge zu unabhängigen Fachgutachtern, sodass mindestens 2 Fachleute sich jeden Antrag anschauen. Und das Ganze dauert dann 4 bis 7 Monate. Es kommt primär darauf an, wie lang ist die Dauer bis zur nächsten Auswahlsitzung. Wenn er noch da reinpasst, der Antrag schön, wenn nicht, sind es halt 4 Monate später. Gut, ein Antrag ist schön, noch schöner ist, wenn das Stipendium bewilligt wird, dann sollten Sie auch wissen, was bekommt man mit so einem Stipendium. Das Wichtigste ist natürlich, das war jetzt ganz falsch. Das Wichtigste ist natürlich überhaupt erstmal das Stipendium, keine Frage. Dieses Stipendium ist so bemessen, dass unsere ausländischen Gastwissenschaftler mit einem Humboldt-Forschungsstipendium in etwa finanziell genauso ausgestattet sind wie ein deutscher Wissenschaftler, der eine Anstellung hat und in vergleichbaren Karrierestufe ist. Also damit kommt man in Deutschland gut klar, man wird nicht reich, aber man kann gut leben. Natürlich gibt es auch Reisekosten, klar, das kriegt man auch mit jedem Stipendium. Hier fangen die Unterschiede an. Ich sagte vorhin, man muss kein Deutsch können, um als Humboldt-Stipendiat nach Deutschland zu kommen. Sei es als Humboldt-Stipendiat, DAD-Stipendiat oder sonst wer in Deutschland zu leben, ist es aber viel lustiger, wenn man Deutsch kann. Also wenn wir ein Bier bestellen können oder ein Brötchen, das macht viel mehr Spaß. Deshalb bieten wir nämlich all unseren Stipendiaten und auch ihren Partnern einen Deutschkurs an. Zusätzlich zum Stipendium, vor dem Stipendium, das ist in der Regel an einem Goethe-Institut, 2 bis 4 Monate. Ich sprach vorhin schon an, dass wir sehr viel Wert darauf legen, dass die Aufenthalte unserer Geförderten in Deutschland für sie aus professioneller, wissenschaftlicher, aber auch aus persönlicher Hinsicht ein Erfolg sind. Das hängt ganz stark davon ab, dass sie ihre Familien mitbringen können. Ich fände das gar nicht lustig, 2 Jahre von meiner Familie getrennt zu sein und die meisten anderen wird das ganz ähnlich gehen. Deshalb sind wir daran interessiert, dass sie die Familien mitbringen und wir versuchen sie auch finanziell in die Lage zu versetzen, das tun zu können. Und mit dem, was wir anbieten, geht das auch. In einem gewissen Umfang beteiligen wir uns auch an den Kosten, die wissenschaftliche Arbeit der Stipendiaten am Gastinstitut verursachen, sodass die Gastgeber da auch nicht ganz allein gelassen sind. Jetzt kommen aber die wirklichen Unterschiede zwischen einem Humboldt-Stipendium und irgendeinem anderen Stipendium. Zum einen der wirklich intensive individuelle Unterstützung, die die Stipendiaten von den Mitarbeitern der Stiftung erhalten. Zum anderen aber eine ganze Reihe von Aktivitäten, die wir mit den Stipendiaten, Stipendiatinnen und für diese durchführen. Wie gesagt, ganz am Anfang sagte ich, wir wollen ein Netzwerk aufbauen. Netzwerk klappt aber nur, wenn man sich kennt. Wenn wir die Stipendiaten kennen, wenn die uns kennen, wenn die sich untereinander kennen. Und während dieses Erstaufenthaltes versuchen wir, die Grundlage dafür zu bilden. Und einfach deutlich zu machen, ein anderer Stipendiat aus einem ganz anderen Land, aus einem ganz anderen Fachbereich, der ist interessant, der ist nett, der ist freundlich, es macht Spaß, mit dem allgemeine wissenschaftliche Themen oder auch mein eigenes Gebiet zu diskutieren. Und die Idee in ihnen überhaupt mal zu verankern, das macht Sinn, auch später mit denen in Kontakt zu sein. Und deshalb führen wir eine ganze Reihe von Treffen durch. Da möchte ich jetzt nicht alles durchgehen, aber was hier so unauffällig Study Tour heißt, bedeutet, dass wir wirklich busladungsweise Humboldtianer und Humboldtianerinnen mit ihren Partnern im Sommer 2 Wochen lang durch Deutschland karren. Die kommen in Städte, die sie sonst nicht sehen. Wenn die in München arbeiten, fahren wir sie nach Dresden, Rostock, Hamburg, Heidelberg, Bonn, Stuttgart. Da kriegen sie Stadtführungen, sie gehen in ein Museum, sie treffen sich mit Vertretern von Presse, von Politik, von was auch immer. Sie sollen Deutschland kennenlernen und eben nicht nur das Labor oder die Bibliothek. Der Highlight ist dann unser Jahrestreffen. Da gibt der Präsident der Bundesrepublik Deutschland der Stiftung, den Stipendiaten, die Ehre, sie einzuladen in sein Schloss, in seinen Amtssitz. Und es ist einfach ein schönes Bild, wenn man diese 1000 Humboldtianer plus 300, 400 Kinder durch diesen Garten sausen sieht und der Bundespräsident schmeißt sich immer in die Masse und redet mit ganz vielen Leuten. Damit kommen wir ein bisschen zurück zum Geschäft, nachdem das der Spaß war. Was seit Beginn der Stiftung ihr Markenzeichen ist die Alumniförderung. Ich sagte am Anfang, und ich wiederhole es, wir versuchen ein Netzwerk aufzubauen. Da muss man die Leute erstmal zusammenbringen, auf die Idee bringen, das macht auch Sinn, was miteinander zu machen. Aber dann gehen die ja wieder aus Deutschland weg, das ist ja die Idee. Aber da muss man ja irgendwie mit denen in Kontakt bleiben können, ihnen ermöglichen, die Kontakte zur wissenschaftlichen Community in Deutschland aufrechtzuerhalten. Und genau das versuchen wir mit dem, was wir halt als Alumniförderung bezeichnen. Und auf dieser Folie ist ganz grob dargestellt, was wir alles Mögliche anbieten. Das ist bei weitem nicht vollständig. Aber als erstes steht, wir haben 26.000 Humboldtianer in dem Netzwerk aus 140 Ländern, davon sind 51 Nobelpreisträger, also die Qualität ist auch gegeben. Und unser Motto ist, einmal Humboldtianer, immer Humboldtianer. Und das meinen wir wirklich ganz ernst. Und das hat ganz konkrete, das wird in jeder Auswahlsitzung ganz konkret klar. Wenn einer unserer Auswahlausschüsse nehmen wir den 30-jährigen Juristen aus Italien auswählt und sagt, das ist eine Person, die passt ins Netzwerk, er soll das Stipendium erhalten, er soll in Deutschland arbeiten, dann verpflichtet sich die Stiftung, dem Stipendiaten gegenüber in die nächsten 4 Jahrzehnte zu fördern. Solange er Interesse daran hat, mit Kollegen in Deutschland zu kooperieren und solange er gute Arbeit leistet. Wir werden diesen Juristen nicht jedes Jahr unterstützen, nicht mit großen Summen Geldes, aber verlässlich über den Rest des wissenschaftlichen Lebens, was bei einem 30-Jährigen relativ lang noch ist. Ja, und dafür bieten wir halt verschiedene Programme an. Das Einfachste, alle unsere Stipendiatinnen und Stipendiaten können später wieder nach Deutschland kommen. Ein paar Tage, bis zu 3 Monaten. Sie können zu dem Gastgeber zurückkommen, bei dem Sie Ihren Erstaufenthalt durchgeführt haben. Aber es kann auch sein, dass Sie auf der Konferenz einen Vortrag von einem deutschen Wissenschaftler hören oder selber einen Vortrag haben. Eine deutsche Wissenschaftlerin kommt nach dem Vortrag auf zu und sagt, Mensch, das war ja interessant, machen Sie denn da? Und dann merkt, ach, da sind ja Gemeinsamkeiten, gemeinsame Interessen und man überlegt, wollen wir denn zusammenarbeiten? Dann muss man sich mal treffen, sich hinsetzen, reden. Wir können der oder dem Deutschen den Flug nach Italien zahlen, dem Italiener den Flug nach Deutschland. Wenn man sich dann einigt, ja, wenn wir was machen, gibt es diesen gegenseitigen Forschungsaufenthalt. Wir können auch den Forschungsaufenthalt des deutschen Professors in Italien bezahlen. Also quasi kaum was geht bei uns nicht wirklich. Wir bieten verschiedene Möglichkeiten zu Treffen an, wie hier dieses Kolloquium, was heute auch stattfindet, und kurz gesagt alles Mögliche. Immer mit dem Ziel, unsere Instrumente, gerade im Bereich der Netzwerkförderung, auf die individuellen Bedürfnisse der Stipendiatinnen und Stipendiaten zu beziehen. Das heißt, ihnen das anzubieten, was sie in dieser Phase des wissenschaftlichen Lebens gerade brauchen. Ja, wir bieten sogar, ich hatte vorhin gesagt, ein kleines Teil unseres Budgets geht an deutsche Wissenschaftlerinnen und Wissenschaftler. Die Masse diesen Geldes wiederum geht in das Feder-Lünen-Forschungsstipendienprogramm. Das ist ein Programm für deutsche Postdoktoranden. Das ist wie jedes Postdoktorandenprogramm für deutsche Postdocs. Halt, deutscher Postdoc geht ins Ausland. Bei uns ist der einzige Unterschied, ist, dass der Gastgeber, die Gastgeberin, das muss ein Alumnus oder eine Alumna der Stiftung sein. Das heißt, nur ehemalige Stipendiatinnen, Stipendiaten, Preisträger, Preisträgerinnen können als Gastgeber für diese Lünen-Stipendiaten fungieren. Damit wollen wir zum einen das Netzwerk der Stiftung in Deutschland verstärken, zum anderen fungieren diese Lünen-Stipendiaten dann aber auch als, wie der Biologe sagt, Living Link zur wissenschaftlichen Community in Deutschland. Und auch hier, wie ich sagte, in all unseren Programmen 2 Linien, Postdocs, erfahrene Wissenschaftler und so weiter und so fort. Gut, wo ich jetzt gerade hier sozusagen in Italien bin und auch die Zusammenarbeit im Mittelmeerraum im Fokus steht, möchte ich ein paar Zahlen dazu nennen. Das zeigt den weltweiten Vergleich, die Herkunft der Kohorte, der Auswahlkohorte 2010 bis 2014, also die in der Zeit ausgewählten knapp 3000 Stipendiaten. Man sieht, gut ein Drittel Europa, knapp ein Drittel Asien, 1/5 Nordamerika, dann werden die Zahlen kleiner. Diese Grafik zeigt Ihnen wieder die gleiche Kohorte, diesmal nach Fachgebiet. Man sieht 2/3 Naturwissenschaften, ein gutes Viertel Geistes- und Sozialwissenschaften, jeder 10. aus den Ingenieurwissenschaften. Das wirklich Interessante an diesen beiden letzten Folien ist, das ist nicht der Ausdruck einer Quote der Stiftung, sondern es reflektiert die Quantität, die Qualität von Bewerbungen aus unterschiedlichen Fachgebieten, unterschiedlichen Regionen und Ländern. Es ändert sich wenig, aber grundsätzlich könnte im nächsten Jahr auf 90% Ingenieurwissenschaftler sein. Ja, das Netzwerk in Europa ist kontinentmäßig das größte. Wir haben etwa 13.000 Humboldtianer in Europa, rund 600 aus Italien. Und damit gehört Italien mit zu den 5 großen Ländern, Frankreich, Großbritannien, Italien, Polen und Spanien. Das sind die großen Humboldt-Nationen in Europa. Die Zahl der Bewerbungen aus Italien ist seit 2007 deutlich angestiegen. Das gilt auch übrigens für Griechenland, Spanien und Portugal. Das macht uns auch nicht nur glücklich, weil wir schon zu ahnen glauben, woran es liegt, nämlich an der wirtschaftlichen Entwicklung in diesen Ländern. Nichtsdestotrotz glauben wir dann gerade auch in diesen Ländern oder für Wissenschaftlerinnen und Wissenschaftler aus diesen Ländern eine Möglichkeit anbieten zu können, sich in Deutschland weiter zu qualifizieren und dann nach dieser Zeit in Deutschland, sei es in Italien, sei es anderswo, einfach bessere Karrierechancen zu haben. Auswahl, ja, das zeigt jetzt die Bewerbung der letzten Jahre aus Italien. An die 100, Auswahlerfolg etwa 30%. Das ist weltweiter Schnitt vielleicht ein bisschen höher. Die Aufteilung nach Fachgebieten ist ganz interessant. Die ist in Italien völlig anders als im weltweiten Schnitt. Hier sind knapp 60% aus den Geistes- und Sozialwissenschaften, nur gut ein Drittel aus den Naturwissenschaften und so gut wie keiner aus den Ingenieurwissenschaften. Das finden wir schön, das finden wir blöd, aber wir können es nicht ändern. Wir können nur auswählen, wer sich bewirbt. In der Region Nahe Osten, Nordafrika, kurzer Überblick, hier haben wir letztendlich 3 Gruppen. Es gibt Länder mit relativ vielen Humboldtianern, das sind Ägypten, Israel, mittelstarke Länder, gibt es vor allem Iran. Und dann gibt es ja, die Masse der nordafrikanischen Länder, die mit weitem Abstand und kleinen Stipendiatenzahlen folgen. Insgesamt haben wir etwa 1000 Humboldtianer in der Region Nahe Osten, Nordafrika. Hier haben wir Lünen-Stipendiaten. Das ist eine sehr aktive Gruppe von Humboldtianern oder Alumni der Humboldt-Stiftung, die viele Kollegs abhalten. Wir haben Vertrauenswissenschaftler in diesen Ländern. Wir haben Vereinigungen in diesen Ländern. Da passiert sehr viel. Gut, vielleicht ein ganz kurzer Ausflug noch in den Bereich sozialer Medien, bevor ich zum Schluss komme. Wir haben seit knapp einem Jahr Humboldt Live angeschaltet. Das ist Facebook für Humboldtianer. Das baut letztendlich, das ist ein geschlossenes Netzwerk und es baut darauf auf, dass wir versuchen, das akademische oder wissenschaftliche Netzwerk des Vertrauens aufzubauen. Und wie gesagt, während der Erstaufenthalte versuchen wir die Humboldtianer auf diese Idee zu bringen, dass es Sinn macht, mit den anderen in Kontakt zu kommen. Das Problem ist nur, man muss irgendwie denen ja mal begegnen. Und das soll einfach dieses Medium hier erleichtern. Und unsere Erfahrung ist, und das versuchen wir den Humboldtianern auch mitzuteilen, dass dieses Vertrauensnetzwerk wirklich funktioniert. Es funktioniert dahingehend, dass in der Regel, wenn ein Humboldtianer sich an den anderen Humboldtianer wendet, ob man sich kennt oder nicht, ist relativ egal. Die Wahrscheinlichkeit, dass wenn man eine Bitte hat, um Unterstützung bittet, die Wahrscheinlichkeit ist einfach höher, dass dem entsprochen wird, als wenn man nicht im Humboldt-Netzwerk ist. Die Humboldt-Stiftung ist genauso wie der DAD auch Mitglied im Alumni-Portal Deutschland. Das ist ein etwas weiter gespanntes soziales Netzwerk, was insgesamt Alumni aus Deutschland betrifft, seien es Wissenschaftler, Studierende oder auch Arbeitskräfte, die einfach in Deutschland waren. Gut, das war es von meiner Seite. Wenn Sie Fragen haben sollten, and if you have questions that might also be in English, preferably not in Italian, because I won't be able to answer them, ask me now, ask me later, or write us an email. And that sounds like an email where nobody's going to answer on that, but there are several people who just wait for the question, and they're definitely going to answer them. Thanks a lot.
Danke sehr für die interessante Vorstellung. Wir haben Zeit für Fragen und vielleicht zuerst Professor Marin Riga-Frigione möchte Diskussionsbeitrag bringen.
English, please, because I don't speak a word of English. Very sorry.
If you want, you can say something, ask something to Dr. Hesse.
Should I speak in English or in Italian? In English?
If you want to get an answer from me, it must be English. If you don't mind, it's English, Italian as well.
So first of all, welcome to everybody to University of Salento. As Professor Fazio told you, we are a rather young university. This year we are going to celebrate our 60th birthday. So it's a rather young, even though you can see here the location is a quite old location here in the center of Lecce. And yes, I'm very interested about your presentation about the possibility of researchers. As I have understood, postdoc researchers and also young researchers, experienced researchers. So there is a possibility, for instance, to have an exchange of visiting professors between our countries. What do you think about this?
In principle, that could be handled via the Humboldt Foundation. However, we do not have any agreement with any university from abroad or whatsoever. Does that work? No, it doesn't work. So as I said, the Humboldt Foundation works on an individual basis. That got its advantages and its disadvantages. So it's absolutely open. It's a network, but it's a network where everybody can enter. But that means that we do not have any agreement with any university or organization from abroad, but everything is done on an individual application base. However, that does not mean that universities can't grab the opportunity the Humboldt Foundation offers. From my point of view, this Humboldt Research Fellowship for experienced researchers is pretty much a staff development program for university leadership, because you can identify those promising young researchers whom you want to stay as professors at your institution. Mm-hmm. And they come with this program for 3 months each in 3 consecutive years, or they could come for 18 months or whatsoever. It depends on how the situation of that individual person, of that individual university is. So from my point of view, it's a good idea to see that that program of the foundation as a staff development program from the view of a university leadership.
So we can advertise this possibility among our contacts abroad, and we can propose ourselves as academic host.
No, the idea is that you spread the word about that opportunity here at your university,
Yes.
and tell your young promising scientists that they should go to Germany and do that.
Okay, this is a possibility, but we have also the possibility to host some
That's right. That's,
research
yes,
from
it's
abroad.
true for German, yes, for German postdocs. Yes.
You have to be a Humboldt to invite.
Ja, ich kann auch.
Genau.
In different areas, of course. So?
Yes, that's 11, and those 11 are eligible to host the German postdocs, yes.
So this is a good idea, it's a good opportunity for us to have this kind of exchange, I think. Yes.
Mori möchte eine Frage stellen.
The microphone is just behind you.
Ich heiße Massimo Mori, Universität Turin. Vielen Dank, Herr Hesser. Sie haben ausführlich erzählt, was die Humboldt-Stiftung für die Humboldtianer macht. Ich möchte jetzt noch etwas darüber hinzufügen, was die ehemaligen Humboldtianer für die Humboldt-Stiftung machen könnten. Und ich meine natürlich die Fedolinen-Stipendien. Ich glaube, es ist nicht besonders leicht für die Italiener, die Gelder zu finden, um diese Stipendien zu finanzieren. Aber manchmal betrifft die Schwierigkeit nicht die Gelder, oder wenigstens nicht nur die Gelder, sondern die Möglichkeit, einen jungen deutschen Forscher zu finden, der seine Studien in Italien weitersetzen will. Ja? Natürlich, es kommt darauf an, was für Fachgebiete in Frage kommen. Aber ich möchte kurz meine persönliche Erfahrung erzählen. Etwa vor 10 Jahren fand ich mit der Hilfe meines Gastgebers, der Kollege Zöller aus München, einen jungen Forscher, einen Schüler von ihm, der mit mir in Turin weiter studieren wollte. Ich fand die Gelder, der Mechanismus, der bürokratische Mechanismus wurde fast in Bewegung gebracht, aber dann plötzlich hat der Junge aus persönlichen Gründen darauf verzichtet, aufgegeben. Na gut, in 3 Jahren ist es uns nicht gelungen, eine Ersatzlösung zu finden. Uns bedeutet, ich erzähle 3 oder 4 andere deutsche Kollegen, die ich befragt habe. Und so habe ich diese Finanzierungsmöglichkeiten verpasst. Ich weiß, dass jetzt ist die Lage etwa anders. Jetzt gibt es ein Portal, so ein Database, wo man sich anmelden kann, wenn die Möglichkeit hat, so diese Stipendien zu finanzieren. Trotzdem glaube ich, dass in einigen besonders schwierigen Fällen wäre es gut, wenn die Humboldt-Stiftung so diese Nachricht noch weiter verbreiten könnte, wahrscheinlich mit einem Direktappell an den deutschen deutschen Kollegen, die interessiert sein können. Oder wie, weiß ich nicht. Aber wahrscheinlich wäre es gut, noch etwas in die Richtung machen. Dankeschön.
Ich würde darauf gerne einen Punkt antworten, weil Sie auf diese Finanzierung eingegangen sind. In dem Lünen-Programm strebt die Stiftung an, dass auch die Gastgeber einen Teil des Stipendiums bezahlen. Wenn das nicht möglich ist, geht es aber auch ohne. Also das ist etwas, was die Stiftung sich wünscht. Wenn es klappt, ist schön. Wenn nicht, ist es auch gut. Um das ganz klar zu sagen, wenn ein Physiker von Stanford sagt, wir können das nicht, also ein Humboldtianer als Physiker an der Stanford University sagt, ich kriege das nicht aufgetrieben, das Geld, da müssen wir nochmal ernsthaft mit dem reden. Aber wenn es ein Geisteswissenschaftler von Georgetown University ist, wir wissen selber, dass sie das Geld nicht aufbringen. Also wenn es hier Schwierigkeiten macht in einzelnen Fachgebieten, dann ist es auch so. Also deshalb sage ich, dieses Geld soll überhaupt keine Rolle spielen. Aber ich glaube, das weiterhin erfolgversprechendste ist, dass Sie Ihre persönlichen Kontakte nutzen. Das kann auch im Einzelfall nicht klappen. Wir versuchen über diese Datenbank, die Sie auch gerade angesprochen hatten, oder diese Suchmöglichkeit, da noch ein bisschen mehr Interesse zu wecken. Aber wenn wir den deutschen Doktoranden sagen, geht doch nach Italien, ich glaube, das ändert nichts.
Gut, weitere Frage? Es vorlesen.
Vielen Dank. Es war sehr interessant, diese Graphen, wie Sie das genannt haben, professionell, zu beobachten. Nach meinen früheren Erfahrungen war zum Beispiel die Quote der Wissenschaftler, die von Frankreich und von UK nach Deutschland kamen, anders. Hat sich, erinnere ich mich, falsch oder hat sich etwas geändert? Sind neue Trends zu beobachten und welche sind die Folgen, sagen wir, für die Entwicklung und die Förderung der Stiftung?
Ja, was wirklich sehr deutlich für die Stiftung zu erkennen war, dass mit der Euro-Krise, also etwa Beginn 2007, gerade die Anträge aus den europäischen Mittelmeeranrainerländern ganz stark gestiegen sind, sprich Griechenland, Italien, Spanien und Portugal. Das betrifft dann wiederum vor allem Geisteswissenschaften, Sozialwissenschaften offensichtlich. Und das ist ganz klar zu erkennen. Und deshalb, ich sagte, seit 2007 haben die Bewerberzahlen aus Italien um mindestens 50% zugelegt. Aber wie gesagt, ich glaube, da kann Deutschland dann damit auch die Humboldt-Stiftung was anbieten, gute Leute weiter zu qualifizieren, um ihnen dann entweder nach Rückkehr oder nach Weiterreise in ein anderes Land oder auch in Deutschland bessere Karrierechancen zu ermöglichen. Und dieser Trend ist in UK und Frankreich bei weitem nicht so stark.
So. Gut, wenn keine andere Frage gibt, ich denke, wir können das Wort Dr. Pisanelli geben. Vielleicht, Mimo, ti dispiace? Si può. Federica, c'è del materiale che dobbiamo distribuire o hai lasciato il tuo? Perfetto. Poi se riesci a fare la
Hallo, mein Name ist Federica Pisanelli, ich bin Mitarbeiterin des DAAD-Informationszentrums in Rom. Es ist mir eine große Freude, heute Ihnen begrüßen zu dürfen. Wir haben unsere Präsentation auf Italienisch vorbereitet, deswegen werde ich sie auch auf Italienisch führen und hoffe, dass es kein Problem ist für Ihnen. Oggi vi illustrerò un po' di notizie da parte del DAAD, quindi forniremo alcuni dati a proposito della crescita e della trasformazione che attualmente si verifica all'interno della nostra organizzazione e questo lo faremo nella prima parte della presentazione. Nella seconda invece passeremo in rassegna quelli che sono alcuni bandi istituzionali e anche individuali che possono essere di interesse appunto per professori e ricercatori. Innanzitutto devo portarvi i saluti del nostro direttore Tobias Bergman, che purtroppo oggi non è potuto essere presente perché si occupa del figlioletto di 11 mesi. Però insomma vi porto ovviamente i suoi saluti ed è dispiaciuto di non poter essere presente. Veniamo quindi alla prima parte della presentazione, quindi dicevamo la crescita e la trasformazione in seno al DAAD. Il budget della nostra organizzazione è cresciuto esponenzialmente negli ultimi decenni. In questo grafico è possibile vedere quelle che sono le cifre appunto relative a diversi anni. Vediamo che la crescita superiore è stata registrata appunto negli anni della crisi, quindi nonostante i cambiamenti politici, nonostante anche altre variabili di tipo socio-economico, il DAD ha continuato a crescere e siamo arrivati ormai ad un budget superiore a 400 milioni di euro all'anno. Di conseguenza anche il numero dei borsisti è cresciuto, ci sono ormai più di 80.000 persone che ricevono un finanziamento del DAD ogni anno. Negli ultimi 4 anni c'è stato un incremento del 20% dovuto agli stranieri appunto vediamo che per esempio solamente tra il 2012 e il 2013 c'è stato un incremento di finanziamenti pari al 7,2%. Anche l'Italia ovviamente gioca un ruolo importante in queste statistiche, ormai siamo arrivati a circa 800 borsisti DAD ogni anno dall'Italia, che nella classifica dei partner dell'Europa occidentale è ormai anche davanti a Francia e Gran Bretagna. Vediamo che si tratta di una statistica piuttosto equilibrata, in quanto non solamente è cresciuto il numero di borsisti italiani che quindi hanno ricevuto un finanziamento per studiare o ricercare in Germania, ma anche l'Italia si dimostra essere una meta molto attrattiva anche per i borsisti tedeschi. Quindi siamo arrivati a 1054 borsisti DAD dalla Germania in Italia nel 2013 e 826 dall'Italia alla Germania. Il DAD è comunque anche il motore dell'internazionalizzazione delle università tedesche e porta avanti nel mondo numerosi progetti, tra cui anche l'istituzione per esempio di università tedesche all'estero. Prendiamo ad esempio l'università turco-tedesca di Istanbul oppure quella di Ho Chi Minh. A livello di uffici regionali il DAD è rappresentato da una rete molto capillare, ormai già in 60 paesi, e vi sono circa 71 tra uffici regionali e centri informazioni. I centri informazioni in particolare, che esistono da circa 20 anni, ogni anno aumentano nel proprio numero, infatti alcune statistiche ci confermano che ogni anno vengono fondati circa nuovi centri informazioni nel mondo. A questa grossa crescita il DAD ha ovviamente pensato di dover rispondere con una riorganizzazione e infatti ha deciso di ripensare un po' anche la propria struttura ed è per questo che nel 2013 è stata lanciata questa strategia DAD 2020 che ha tra i suoi obiettivi ad esempio il raggiungimento di 350.000 studenti internazionali presso le università tedesche e inoltre anche un altro degli obiettivi è che il 50% degli studenti tedeschi dovrà fare un'esperienza all'estero, questo sempre nel 2020 e per esperienza all'estero si intende non soltanto uno studio o una ricerca ma anche soggiorni più brevi come ad esempio un Erasmus, un tirocinio oppure uno stage. Questa strategia 2020 si concentra su 3 aree strategiche che sono innanzitutto il sostegno ai più meritevoli, quindi vediamo qui scholarships for the best, poi anche il perseguimento di un trasferimento di conoscenze per la collaborazione accademica, quindi il DAD può utilizzare a favore delle università tedesche l'expertise che raccoglie attraverso il lavoro di tutti i suoi uffici nel mondo, e poi anche sempre il sostegno alle strutture per l'internazionalizzazione. Questa riorganizzazione interna che si riverbera anche a livello di cambiamenti proprio strutturali all'interno della nostra sede centrale è iniziata a cavallo tra il 2014 e il 2015, e non a caso il 2015 è anche l'anno in cui ricorre il 90° anniversario della fondazione del DAD, che è avvenuta nel 1925. La crescita del DAD a livello mondiale si riflette anche nella situazione dell'Italia, dove il DAD è molto ben rappresentato. Vediamo che ci sono ormai 13 lettorati nelle università italiane, di cui il più recente è stato proprio fondato nel gennaio 2015 a Firenze. E ovviamente il lavoro anche dei nostri lettorati è coordinato dal centro informazioni che si trova a Roma dal 2004. Questa crescita è una crescita che possiamo registrare anche nel numero delle candidature. Infatti dal 2011 le richieste per le nostre borse di studio annuali si sono ben triplicate, fino ad arrivare a 411 borse di studio e di ricerca che verranno erogate solamente nell'anno 2015-2016, quindi nel prossimo anno accademico. Passiamo invece alla seconda parte di questa presentazione che appunto andrà ad illustrare quelli che sono i finanziamenti per professori e ricercatori. Certamente se parliamo di bandi individuali, tantissimi di voi conosceranno questo bando, Soggiorni di ricerca per professori e ricercatori, che è finalizzato al finanziamento da 1 a 3 mesi di ricerca presso una qualsiasi università in Germania, oppure presso un qualsiasi centro di ricerca pubblico, come ad esempio gli istituti Leibniz, Max Planck, eccetera, oppure presso archivi o biblioteche. Questo programma viene bandito 2 volte l'anno. Una scadenza è ad ottobre per partenze tra il gennaio e il giugno successivo, oppure la seconda scadenza è quella di aprile per partenze tra luglio e dicembre. C'è un piccolo refuso nella slide. L'ammontare è di 2.000 euro per i ricercatori o per gli assegnisti di ricerca al mese, 2.150 euro invece è l'ammontare della borsa mensile per i professori. I documenti per la candidatura sono i soliti documenti che bisogna presentare per questo tipo di bandi, quindi ovviamente l'abstract del progetto di ricerca, una lettera di invito da parte dell'istituzione ospitante, il curriculum, la lista delle pubblicazioni. La candidatura è completamente online e va svolta tramite il portale DAD. La proporzione di successo per questo programma è molto alta, infatti nelle scorse edizioni è stata pari a 1 su 2,5. Vi presenterò adesso un bando istituzionale che è aperto proprio in questo periodo e che scade infatti il 30 giugno 2015. Si chiama Hochschuldialog mit Südeuropa ed è, come dice il titolo stesso, un programma finalizzato all'organizzazione e alla realizzazione di eventi all'interno, nell'ambito di un partenariato tra l'università tedesca e un'università del Sud Europa. Quindi i paesi che sono destinatari di questo bando sono Italia, Grecia, Spagna, Portogallo e Cipro. Cosa viene finanziato nello specifico? Deve trattarsi di eventi, nel senso più ampio del termine, che possono essere convegni oppure scuole estive, oppure anche attività formative per studenti, dottorandi e giovani ricercatori, come ad esempio corsi specialistici, seminari intensivi e workshop. I progetti devono aver luogo nel 2016, ma eventuali pubblicazioni, nel caso in cui si faccia richiesta di fondi appositi, possono anche essere finanziate nel 2017. Per ciascun evento è previsto un ammontare pari ad un massimo di 20.000 euro. Tra le varie voci di finanziamento troviamo ad esempio i costi di viaggio dei partecipanti esterni, Per partecipanti esterni intendiamo tutti coloro che non si trovino sul luogo appunto dello svolgimento del convegno, quindi nel caso di un evento che si svolga in Italia anche i partecipanti che non si trovano nella città in cui l'evento viene organizzato. I costi di soggiorno, quindi vediamo per il viaggio c'è un forfettario di 175 euro a persona. Per quanto riguarda invece i costi di soggiorno, anche ci sono dei forfettari che variano a seconda dello status del partecipante. È possibile poi richiedere un massimo di 3.000 euro per le pubblicazioni e sono anche finanziabili ovviamente le spese per l'affitto di apparecchiature oppure di sale, i servizi di interpretazione e di catering. Per motivi formali la domanda può essere presentata solamente da università tedesche. Questo non significa però ovviamente che dalle università italiane non possano essere avanzate delle proposte, quindi abbiamo visto anche nelle scorse edizioni del bando, nel 2013 e nel 2014, come la maggior parte delle iniziative per quanto riguarda queste collaborazioni italo-tedesche fosse nato proprio dall'università italiana che ha proposto un progetto all'università partner in Germania. I documenti per la candidatura sono un modulo ovviamente sul portale che può essere annuale o biennale a seconda delle esigenze, un modulo anche di programmazione delle spese, una descrizione del progetto e una conferma formale da parte dell'università partner, in questo caso dell'università italiana. La proporzione di successo è pari a circa 1/4, almeno così è stato nella scorsa edizione, infatti nel 2014 sono stati finanziati 27 progetti italo-tedeschi su 99 totali. Da notare anche il dato che su 140 richieste complessive da tutto il sud Europa, ben 99 fossero con università italiane e tedesche appunto che collaboravano. Adesso un po' di domande frequenti su questo bando a cui cerchiamo di rispondere. Non ci sono restrizioni tematiche, nel senso che il bando Hochschuldialog si rivolge a tutte le aree disciplinari. Non è necessario che vi sia un collegamento tematico con la Germania, ma chiaramente nel caso vi fosse questo costituirebbe un vantaggio. Il progetto deve comunque in ogni modo basarsi su una cooperazione tra le due università. Qui abbiamo elencato alcuni progetti che vengono attualmente finanziati, ma la lista totale dei progetti è disponibile sul sito tedesco del DAAD nella pagina specifica per l'Italia. Possono partecipare anche più di due università, scusate. L'importante è che il referente principale sia comunque un'università tedesca e possono partecipare anche università di altri paesi, limitatamente ai paesi destinatari del bando, quindi quelli sudeuropei. È possibile anche fare un evento in Germania e uno in Italia, sì, ed è anche molto apprezzato, in quanto il bando prescrive letteralmente che in der Regel dovrebbero svolgersi in Germania, ma in caso appunto nel caso in cui ci fosse una motivazione per svolgere l'evento solamente in Italia, questa deve essere molto concreta. La soluzione ottimale che noi sempre proponiamo è quella di prevedere un mix, quindi degli eventi all'interno dello stesso progetto che si svolgano sia in Germania sia in Italia. E poi i criteri di valutazione sono molteplici, quindi ovviamente l'idea di dialogo, che può essere un dialogo tematico oltre che tra i partner, l'originalità del progetto, la rilevanza per l'internazionalizzazione, parliamo in questo caso anche di sostenibilità, quindi è chiaro che il progetto dovrebbe dimostrare come la collaborazione sia già una collaborazione consolidata e che può anche continuare a durare nel tempo tra le due università partner. Il coinvolgimento dei giovani anche importantissimo, in quanto i progetti dovrebbero prevedere che non siano solamente professori a partecipare, ma che anche gli studenti, i dottorandi e in generale giovani ricercatori vengano coinvolti nelle attività. Il progetto deve essere ben preparato, nel senso che già al momento della richiesta occorre fornire una bozza con degli obiettivi molto concreti e anche il piano finanziario è bene che sia già calcolato nel dettaglio. Eventualmente la presenza di altri finanziamenti da parte di altre fonti potrebbe anche costituire già un vantaggio. Vi sono altri bandi istituzionali che vi cito solamente per questioni di tempo, finanziamenti per viaggi di studio, finanziamenti per visiting professors dalla Germania, finanziamenti per visiting professors dall'Italia alla Germania, quindi sia incoming che outgoing. Non scenderemo nei dettagli appunto perché il tempo a disposizione è poco, ma invito tutti coloro che fossero interessati a ricevere ulteriori informazioni relativamente a questi bandi a scrivere una mail appunto al nostro centro informazioni. Io vi ringrazio per l'attenzione, vi sono delle copie del bando Hochschuldialog che sono disponibili al banco registrazione, così come anche dei volantini con i contatti del nostro ufficio. Quindi vi ringrazio nuovamente e vi auguro un buon proseguimento dei lavori.
Also, wenn Fragen gibt, alles klar vielleicht. Prego.
Ist der Hochschuldialog eines der Hauptförderinstrumente des DAAD?
Es gibt sowohl individuelle Förderungen als auch institutionelle Förderungen. Und Hochschuldialog ist ein Programm, das der DAAD nur vor kurzer Zeit gegründet hat. Das heißt, dass die erste Ausschreibung von Hochschuldialog wurde 2013 veröffentlicht. Und das ist ein Instrument für die Kooperation im Rahmen des Dialogs zwischen Deutschland und südeuropäischen Ländern. Das heißt, dass es sehr spezifisch ist. Es gibt auch verschiedene Programme, die der DAAD für alle Länder, andere Länder und andere Regionen der Welt gegründet hat.
Das ist doch mehr ein intellektueller Austausch. Eigentlich ist der DAAD doch ein physischer Austausch von Körpern, die von einem Land in ein anderes Land gehen. Das ist doch 80% von den Budgets. Da hast du gar nicht drüber gesprochen.
Der Austausch ist auch vorgesehen. Das heißt, dass wenn zum Beispiel ein Workshop in Deutschland und ein Workshop in Italien im Rahmen desselben Projektes gibt, gibt es auch dieser Austausch. Das heißt, dass die Teilnehmer reisen nach Deutschland. Ich verstehe Ihre Frage, aber wir haben viel Zeit an diesem Programm gewidmet, weil die Ausschreibung jetzt offen ist und vielleicht gibt es im Publikum auch viele Interessenten, die teilnehmen wollen.
Da frage ich nochmal anders. Wie viel Prozent des DAAD-Budgets geht in
Doktorandenprogramm?
20%, 0%, 90%?
Normalerweise jedes Jahr gibt es mehr als 70% des Budgets für individuelle Förderungen. Und die Förderung für Doktoranden und Postdocs ist auch sehr wichtig. Wir können das auch in Italien sehen. Wir haben im Moment mehr Bewerbungen von Doktoranden und Postdocs als von Studierenden. Bitte.
Sì, posso fare la domanda? Allora, grazie per questa bella presentazione. Ho una domanda relativa ai valutatori di questi progetti.
Sì.
soprattutto delle borse, dei dottorati, eccetera. So che ci sono diverse fasi nella valutazione, non si sente bene, e mi è capitato anche in passato di far parte appunto di queste commissioni, poi so che c'è una commissione in Germania, ecco, se può chiarire questo aspetto. E poi volevo chiedere per invece le Gastdozenturen, cioè i professori tedeschi in entrata, cioè lì quali sono i criteri per valutare, diciamo, la persona, l'eventuale docente in arrivo dalla Germania che appunto viene finanziato dal DAD? Sì. Grazie.
Allora, parto prima appunto da quest'ultima domanda. Per quanto riguarda le Gastdozenturen, la selezione si svolge in Germania, quindi presso la sede centrale. Il programma stesso è amministrato dalla nostra sede centrale, quindi il nostro ufficio in Italia non entra nel merito della selezione dei criteri, però appunto se ha delle domande specifiche possiamo possiamo chiarirle per email con più tempo. E per quanto riguarda però questo bando posso già fornire alcuni dettagli sui benefits che vengono concessi, nel senso che in entrambi i casi, quindi sia per i visiting professor outgoing che per gli incoming, è sempre l'università tedesca che deve fare richiesta al DAD. Quindi in questo caso, nel momento in cui viene concesso un finanziamento per un professore che dalla Germania va in Italia, il DAD appunto paga uno stipendio che di volta in volta viene considerato ortsüblich, quindi in base anche a quelli che sono gli stipendi che vengono erogati ai professori nel paese in cui il professore va a insegnare. Per quanto riguarda invece la sua prima domanda, non ho ben capito se si riferisce a la selezione per le borse per dottorandi. Me la può gentilmente chiarire?
È molto semplice.
Sì,
con che criteri vengono scelti i valutatori? E so che ci sono diverse fasi nella valutazione, cioè una fase diciamo italiana e poi una fase tedesca, ecco, della valutazione, quella definitiva. Ecco.
Esatto, sì. Allora, funziona così. Per quanto riguarda le borse annuali, finora c'è sempre stata una preselezione che si è svolta in Italia. I professori che il DAD contatta per la fase di preselezione, quella che si svolge in Italia, sono generalmente dei professori con i quali il DAD ha già una collaborazione da diverso tempo, quindi per esempio alunni, quindi ex borsisti, oppure professori con i quali il DAD ha un rapporto all'interno delle università, poiché magari sono dei referenti per esempio per i lettorati, e comunque in generale le richieste vengono sempre fatte valutare da professori dell'ambito disciplinare di pertinenza. Questo significa che se per esempio abbiamo una candidatura da parte di un germanista, questa candidatura verrà letta da dei professori, dai membri della commissione appunto che si occupano di germanistica, non per esempio da professori di scienze naturali. Per quanto riguarda la seconda fase della selezione, fino allo scorso anno quest'ultima si era anche svolta in Germania. Quindi anche in questo caso il DAD contatta dei professori che collaborano costantemente appunto con l'organizzazione e che sono dei valutatori indipendenti. In ogni caso si tratta di un servizio di tipo volontario che i professori svolgono, quindi ehrenamtlich, semplicemente. Per quanto riguarda invece quest'anno il nostro Dipartimento ha deciso che anche la fase di selezione finale fosse affidata all'ufficio italiano. Questo significa che ci sono dei professori che abbiamo contattato noi dall'Italia, quindi ovviamente sempre all'interno della rosa di valutatori che il DAD ha in Italia e che anzi durante questo ultimo anno sono stati ufficialmente nominati come valutatori DAD. Questo significa che sono stati contattati i professori con i quali il DAD ha collaborato in passato e che è stato chiesto loro se volessero entrare nella lista di valutatori DAD. Quindi questo significa che è stata ufficializzata la nomina, ciascun valutatore presta diciamo, il suo consenso a svolgere questa attività per 5 anni e quindi nell'arco di questi 5 anni potrebbe essere chiamato a valutare le richieste. Quindi per quanto riguarda la parte italiana della commissione, italiana nel senso di docenti impiegati presso università italiane, che possono essere anche molti sono docenti tedeschi, si è occupato della nomina il nostro centro. Per quanto riguarda invece l'altra metà della commissione, che è venuta dalla Germania, la nomina è stata fatta direttamente da Bonn.
Grazie. Abbiamo tempo per... Oh, pardon, figurati. Abbiamo tempo per un'ultima domanda.
Come la professoressa Beccarisi ha detto all'inizio, noi abbiamo dei corsi in collaborazione con l'Università tedesca di Colonia. Volevo sapere la possibilità di finanziare delle borse di studio ovviamente sono dei corsi che hanno una mobilità strutturata, cioè previsto che i nostri studenti vadano lì in Germania.
Titolo?
Esattamente.
Sì.
Volevo sapere se c'era la possibilità di applicare per delle borse per supportare i nostri studenti lì. E in che modo, le scadenze da rispettare. Grazie.
Sì. Allora, per quanto riguarda appunto gli studenti che devono svolgere una parte dei propri studi in Germania, è possibile, per quanto riguarda la laurea magistrale, immagino che si parli di laurea magistrale, candidarsi al bando annuale borse di studio per studenti della magistrale, che viene pubblicato ogni anno a settembre e scade il 1° dicembre. Quindi quello che viene finanziato è un intero anno in Germania, quindi è bene semplicemente che gli studenti si candidino con il bando corretto, perché la scadenza del bando è molto anticipata rispetto poi alla eventuale fruizione. Esatto, perché ad esempio il bando che è scaduto il 1° dicembre 2014 si riferisce all'anno accademico 2015-2016. Quindi la prossima opportunità sarebbe quella di candidarsi entro il 1° dicembre 2015 con il bando che pubblicheremo appunto a settembre per frequentare in Germania l'anno accademico 2016-2017.
E anche qui è ampio, cioè su tutte le tematiche ci sono dei prerequisiti?
Sì, chiaramente ci sono dei prerequisiti, però il bando si rivolge anche in questo caso a tutte le aree disciplinari, ad eccezione delle discipline artistiche, per le quali vi sono dei bandi specifici. Per discipline artistiche intendiamo arti visive, arti figurative, musica e architettura. Per tutte le altre aree disciplinari, appunto, il bando a cui fare riferimento è sempre quello generico, borse di studio annuali.
Perfetto, grazie per i partecipanti. Ci sono altre domande? No, forse abbiamo, anche perché il timing è stato perfetto, grazie a tutti. Abbiamo tempo per una piccola pausa. Eine kurze Pause und in 10 Minuten finden wir hier. E figurati se non capitava. Vogel. No, ma figura, sei stata anche... Significa che stiamo ascoltando. Dovrebbe essere ancora... So che ci sono delle
Alessandra, io prendo un caffè e poi
Grazie, come sei interessante.
vado a lavorare.
Perché adesso...
Quando vengo qui dico sempre no.
No?
I think both with Valentin.
Sie geben den Vortrag in Italienisch.
Vortrag, was bedeutet das?
Vortrag in Italienisch.
Yeah. Das ist schwer zu machen.
Ashraf,
Yes.
look,
Yes.
we make a
Yes.
photo.
Yes.
Thumbs up.
Okay.
I think it's open.
Haben wir keinen Platz für so viele mehr? Die haben vorhin noch ganz viele Schildchen. Es gibt gar kein Bild. Ich meine, für die
Los rein.
anderen.
I'm not put in it.
Sind die alle mit auf seinem
مش حلو ما صورناش كويس.
اوكي ناخد واحد ثانيه
كيف؟
نبقى كلنا
Also klingt wie Al-Saud.
Ja.
Hat das was zu tun mit Saudi?
Also
Nein,
nein.
nur die Familienname, ja? Gleiche Familienname.
Okay.
Ich dachte schon, sie sind sehr reich.
Nein.
Okay.
By this we don't need the text because you can change. Yeah. Okay. So for me it's okay.
Other guys have the problem.
Yes.
Ashraf, wie viele Studenten sind in der deutschen Universität?
9,000.
Ui,
Yeah.
groß.
Yeah. 9,000.
Humanities oder hauptsächlich Science?
Beide.
Engineering?
Beide. Wir haben zu 2,000. this I can change. Okay, you can see it? Yes, yeah. Yes. But how to get back? This is, I mean, okay. This is the one.
Ich muss ja eher den Vortritt geben.
Ja, und zwar das auch aufgefallen, dass kein einziger Vortrag.
This is something I don't understand with the company Apple.
What?
Because they developed the mouse, they left the mouse, and now you always have to touch the screen.
Yes.
Very slow. That's always slow like this.
Yes.
Of course, it's haptic.
Yes.
With this here, it's much easier.
Yes.
But it's no longer fitting the idea that we only have one piece. With this, you have to have a second piece.
Yes.
But I think that's fair enough.
كان عايزين صورنا تاني عايزين صورنا تاني عشان دلوقتي كومبليت ولا حد يصورنا عشان على كده كومبليت يعني عشان دلوقتي كاملين بس ها؟ لا اسمها البنت دي ولا بعد البنت كده بعد اذنك ولا لا انت ولا بس ولا بنت لسه كبير بس احنا اكبر مجموعه دلوقتي طالعه مع بعض
كيف؟
اكبر مجموعه مع بعضيهم
Was hast du gesagt? $8.000 im Jahr?
Euro. Pro Jahr, yes.
Mein Sohn bezahlt 600 im Jahr.
Ja.
Das sind Studiengebühren, dürfen wir das nicht nennen, das ist für das Studentenwerk.
Welche Universität?
Alle Universitäten.
Ja, ja, aber
Er ist ein Marburg.
in Marburg, okay. Das ist, ja.
Das Geld geht nur an den Astra und an die Studentenaktivitäten, Mensa und so.
Ja, ja, und du Busticket
Die Uni
und
kriegt nichts.
Bushilfe, ja, ja. Ja, ja.
Wir hatten in Hessen das mal, das war gar nicht schlecht. Es war niedrig, es waren 80 Euro im Monat, also 900 im Jahr.
Ja.
Sehr moderat. Das half enorm an den Universitäten, die Lehrer besser auszustatten. Haben die Studenten dagegen protestiert, wegen 80 Euro. Jetzt ist es weg und jetzt jammern sie, dass nicht genug Geld da ist. Das nennt man sich selbst ins Bein schießen.
Yes. ولا ممكن تصورنا
اعطينا تليفونك احسن. بس اول واحد يجي خليه يصور.
بص حد ال Stewardess عايزين ناخده معانا. Stewardess, we want you with us to have this big group food.
Okay.
Was ist denn Deutsch an der deutschen Universität?
Okay.
Ist deutsche Förderung essentiell oder Teil der Bundesrechte? Was ist Deutsch? Die Sprache ist Englisch, oder?
Ja, die Sprache ist Englisch, aber jeder Student hat 4 Basic Courses von Deutsch. 4 Basic Courses von Deutsch. Ja.
Okay.
Für 2 Jahre.
Within 2 years, yes. 4 semesters, yes.
Aber die Vorlesungen, die Seminare,
Yeah,
alles
all
in Englisch.
English, yes.
Because now we are running over.
Actually, here I will talk about what is German about the German University in Paris. So this is what actually I can read my ideas, yes.
Immediately
Yes.
what I asked.
Okay. I would like to ask to take your seats, please.
Nein, ich vertrage auch nicht. Von den Arabisch auch. Okay.
Please come in. Okay. So we are starting now with the last part of this day. We have a tavola rotonda discussion on two subjects. First, my name is Peter Reiter from University of Cologne, and I will chair this round, and most of the speakers, participants you have already heard today. Speakers who did not contribute today may introduce themselves. I just will give the name. And we will concentrate on two subjects. So I was asked to proceed with the presentations we have heard 2 years ago at this very nice meeting at San Servolo, where the different countries reported on their collaboration and on their cooperation with German institutions. And here we give now the opportunity to our colleagues from the Mediterranean and East Mediterranean countries to update on their progress on the situation in their countries. And this will be done by our colleague from Egypt, Professor Abadi. This is then colleague from Jordan, Al-Zoud. And then there is our colleague from Macedonia, Professor Valentin Mirceski. And we will start in alphabetic order with a presentation on the situation and the collaboration between Egypt and Germany. So it's my pleasure. Please, Professor Abadi.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Reiter. Today I'm going to talk about internationalization of higher education and scientific research in Egypt. Actually, when I got the invitation from Professor Sturleza, I got the invitation. It will be a Humboldt colleague, so it's sponsored by the Humboldt Foundation. It will be a lecture to discuss the idea of Europe and Mediterranean countries, history, conflicts, and the chances. So at the beginning, I looked on the map to know where is lecture. So I found that lecture is in the south of Italy, and it's about 1,600 kilometers from Bonn, where the Humboldt Foundation is located, and is exactly the same distance between Tripoli in Libya, Tunisia in Tunis, and Algeria, the capital, to lecture. So I thought we are near. Number two, I looked at the title of the colleague, Conflicts. This is our history, this is past. Conflicts, it's past and maybe current. And I thought the best thing to talk about is chances of the future. And when looking for our chances, I found that the best chance and the best idea to invest in is research, development, science, and education. And from this, I came to this title, Internationalization of Higher Education and Scientific Research in Egypt. There are several forms to internationalize scientific research in Egypt. For example, by internationalization of association and networks of universities, by regional and international financing agencies to join these agencies, and to have joint postgraduate programs or theses co-supervised and co-done between different countries, to have joint research projects, to export and import research services, and to have virtual institutes and networks of scientific research. For example, the Euro-Mediterranean Alexander von Humboldt alumni between Humboldt alumni in the two sides, and information network of scientific research. Also, there are forms of higher education by exchange of students and professors, international and regional association of universities which we can join together with universities from other countries, to import and export academic programs. This is also a way to internationalize higher education, to have branches of foreign universities in our country and in other countries, to have network of universities, to have joint academic programs, to have joint training and staff development, and to have regional and worldwide financing agencies which we can join, like Tempus and Horizon 2020. We looked for internationalization, how it would profit or benefit Egypt. First, it will support scientific cooperation and network among higher education institutions. This is one of our aims. To improve competition and performance of scientists, to benefit from recent advances in education and research technologies we are lacking in our countries, and to have openness on alternative education and research cultures, and to have alternative means for financing research projects. So these are the aims from internationalizing whatever scientific research or higher education in Egypt. Now, about what we have in Egypt. In Egypt, science and innovation is usually done in universities or in research institutes. For universities, we have 18 national or public universities, and we have 21 private and what is known as foreign-backed universities. For example, German University in Cairo, and we have private foreign university, only one, which is American University in Cairo. And we have 77 research institutes. Someone may ask what is the difference between foreign-backed and foreign. Foreign-backed means that the finance and administration is by the local party, but the academic affiliation and academic mentoring is by the German party, for example, in case of the German University in Cairo. While in the case of foreign university, it means that the campus itself, the administration, the finance is all done by the foreign party. Now I'll take you a success story about the German University in Cairo, or about what is German about the German University in Cairo. First, we are adopting German curriculum. Number two, we are adopting the Humboldt principles of the German education, which are unity of teaching and research, even in the undergraduate phase. To adopt practice-oriented teaching, we are adopting academic German standards through partnership with particular universities in Germany, for example, Ulm and Tübingen, and we have accredited most, but not all, of our programs by German accreditation agencies, for example, ACWIN. Someone may ask, you said, most of your programs, but not all. What is it? Why? Why not all? Because Egypt is among the signatory countries on Bologna Agreement. And some of the educational programs in Germany are dependent on the two phases, diploma followed by PhD. While for signatory countries on Bologna Agreement, it should be three phases, bachelor, followed by master, followed by PhD. And that's what we are adopting in Egypt. It is not exactly what is followed in Germany. That's why we cannot accredit these programs by German accreditation agencies. Number three, surely we have German professors as teachers, and we used to invite German colleagues as thesis supervisors and thesis examiners. And this is in our internal bylaws. Also, we are adopting ECTS system, or European Credit Transfer System, in order to ease exchange of students. And we used to have undergraduate and postgraduate courses and workshops in association with partner universities and other German academic bodies. And we have now our own campus for the German University in Cairo in the Berlin, in the capital city of Germany. And in this branch, the undergraduate students can go to spend up to 1 year of their study in Berlin. Now for Egypt, I talk about the people and finance. In year 2009-2010, the researchers in Egyptian governmental universities were 68,000. And scientists in research centers, the biggest 26 research centers, 16,440. And the holders of master degree, almost 9,000, and holders of doctoral degree, almost 4,500 candidates. Students enrolled in higher education in the year 2009, around 2 million, and only 60,000 of them are in private universities, the others are in public universities, and in this year we graduated 25,000 graduates per year. The public expenditure, or what we spent on education as percent of GDP for all phases of education, is 12%, while the research and development spent by the government as percent of GDP in 2011 only 0.4%, and according to the new constitution approved just the previous year, it is now a must for the university, for the government to spend at least 1% of the GDP on research and development. What is the status of publications and scientific documents in Egypt? As you can see, in year 1996, we have 2,800, more than 2,800 scientific documents published. And in 2013, it is now 13,554 documents. So almost 5 times what has been in 1996. And in 2012, it was 12,646. So here we have a growth rate between 2012 and 2013, 7.5%. What is good about this is that the percentage of international cooperation, it is increased. And as you can see, in 2013, 48% of all our publications are with international partners. And for the region, it's 10%. We are producing 10%, and from the world, we are producing 0.53%. For cooperation with Germany, as you can see, the Egyptian is studying for PhD on abroad from years 2004 to 2009. Germany is among the best 3 countries for which we have people studying for their PhD on abroad. So it's first UK, followed by UK, second is Germany, and third is France. And for Egypt top 20 collaborating nations with which we co-authored publication, in the year 2008, you can see first United States, followed by Saudi Arabia, because a lot of Egyptians are working in Saudi Arabia, followed by Germany. For the EVH alumni in Egypt, we are 400 Humboldtians. We are the largest alumni in Africa and the Middle East. And from year 2009 to 2013, for Humboldt Research Fellowships, applications were 75, awarded 19, George Forster Research Fellowships, applications 52, awarded 6. For the Middle East, you can see the numbers, and in 2013, 130,000 publications all in all in 2013, but it is larger than the number of publications in 2012 by 2.5%. Now I would like to compare between Middle East, Western Europe, and Eastern Europe. I will look for 2012 and 2013 numbers only. In Middle East, it's increasing. In Western Europe, it's declining for the first time. And for Eastern Europe, almost plateau. So it means that there is a chance to integrate, because now the growth rate is higher in the south and is almost stagnant in Europe, or even declining. By the way, this is also the case in the North America. One more point, for Egypt, we are producing best in the fields of agriculture, biochemistry, chemistry, computer science, engineering, material sciences, medicine, and physics. And in the Middle East, agriculture, biochemistry, chemistry, computer science, engineering. Sorry, this in Western Europe, I'm sorry. In Western Europe, it's agriculture, biochemistry, chemistry, computer science, engineering, medicine, pharmacology, physics, and social sciences. We don't produce good in social sciences, so this is a difference. While we are producing more, or not more, we are more interested in producing in the fields of material science and pharmacology. So this is also a surprise for us. So actually by this, if you look to this number, you can decide about which fields you can integrate in and which fields you can find a higher chance in order to integrate.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for this nice introduction into your science landscape. And lack of time allows us not to go into much detail, but if there's an urgent question, please. Then I would like to ask colleague Al-Soud to report on the situation in Jordan.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee for this opportunity to talk about the scientific research in the Arab world. And let us start with this slide. 22 countries in the Arab world, 12 in Asia and 10 in Africa. The number of higher education institutes increased from 10 in 1940 to 260 in 2007, and now about 450 higher education institutes. The number of students increased from 1.37 million in 1960 to about 7 million in 2007, and now 8.1 million. Only 2.4% attending higher education institutes, compared with US, which is 5.6%, South Korea 5%, UK, Israel 3.6%, France 3.4%, and Jordan 3%, which is above the average, Lebanon 2.8%, and Saudi Arabia 1.4%. To accommodate the growing number of students, we need new universities, increase capacity in universities, and using e-learning. the Arab universities are still below the required level. 5 indicators are used for assessing our universities. First, the number of registered patents. Second, university ranking, published scientific papers, expenditure on research and development. Finally, the Arab participation in the European programs. 2011, Saudi Arabia published 147 patents, United Arab Emirates 39, Egypt 33, Morocco 17, Tunisia 8, Syria 5, Algeria and Kuwait 4 each, Jordan and Lebanon only 1 each. At 2012, 1,087 patents published by the Arab world compared to USA 2.5 million, and for example Finland 17,661. Ranking of Arab universities. There are no Arab universities among the top 500 universities according to NTU ranking 2012. According to Shanghai Academic Ranking 2012, only 3 Saudi universities and 1 from Egypt, I think Cairo University. For example, USA, there is 156 universities among the top 500 universities. And Italy, for example, there is 27 universities among the top 500 universities. The number of scientific published paper, this is statistics between 1998 and 2007. This is the total number of scientific published papers. For example, Egypt in the first class, the total number 4,273. Then Jordan 1,425, Syria 339, and Lebanon 655 scientific published papers. This slide shows the researchers per million inhabitants. 2010, Jordan in the first class, it is around 3,030, followed by Tunisia, 1,588, Egypt, Morocco, Qatar, around 600, Saudi Arabia, 41, and Yemen, 23 researchers per million inhabitants. The second slide shows the number of publications per million inhabitants. Kuwait, Tunisia, Jordan around 200, Egypt in the middle, I think around 40, and Yemen 2.4 publication per million inhabitants. The quality of Arab research institutes, Qatar in the first class, followed by Tunisia, Jordan, then Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Oman, United Arab Emirates, Morocco, Egypt, Bahrain, and Algeria. The percent of world contribution for scientific articles, according to the UNESCO report 2009, USA in the first class 30.8%, Japan 8.2, UK 7.9, Germany 7.2, Israel 1.1, and you can see from this slide all the Arab world less than 1% of world contribution for scientific articles. This is the top 10 nations by publications: United States in the first class, China, UK, Germany, Japan, France, Canada, Italy, Spain, and India in position 10. This is the field strength of some OIC countries based on citations of research papers. This is statistics between 1998 and 2008. Egypt in the first class in chemistry, then Iran, Morocco, Algeria also in chemistry, Jordan number 10 in clinical medicine. Expenditure on research and development. The Arab world expend less than 1% of the GDP for research and development. Compared, for example, to South Korea, which spent 3.74, Japan 3.67, USA 2.7%, Germany 2.3, European countries 1.84, and also we can see, for example, Saudi Arabia spent 0.05% on research and development as percent of GDP, although Saudi Arabia GDP around $500 billion. The Arab participation in the European programs, for example, the Arab participation in the European BF6 program, this is statistics between 2002 and 2006. For example, Morocco, Egypt, and Tunisia participate with around 500 projects, while Jordan participate in the PF6 program with 200 projects. Some challenges facing the scientific research in the Arab world. First, low rates of expenditure on scientific research, low outputs of scientific research publications and patents, adopting the method of transferring and memorizing knowledge rather than getting it through research, non-compliance with the implementation of a national policy or a clear strategic plan for scientific research, lack of cooperation and coordination among universities, as well as lack of exchange of information, experiences, publications, and co-research. Disconnection between scientific research and national and sustainable development plans. Ignoring quality and innovation and promotion requirements for some universities. However, the requirements are based rather on spending a specific period of time and submitting a specific number of scientific research. Unemployment of research results in economic projects due to weak link between research institutes and production sectors. Lack of specialized centers of scientific research and lack of interaction with teamwork. Lack of universities' autonomy, governance, and institutional performance. The second challenge is brain drain losses at Arab universities. 31% of the total brain drain from developing countries are from the Arab countries. 50% of them are doctors and 32% are engineers. 15% of Arab talents went to Europe and America. The main reasons of brain drain in the Arab countries are political instability, social injustice, absence of appropriate environment to conduct research, lack of research facilities and low quality research standards, lack of freedoms, lack of work motivation and incentives, and low salaries. Although there is achievement, but there is achievement in some Arab countries. For example, the Economist magazine 2007 has placed Saudi Arabia on 7th place ahead of France, Russia, Italy, Spain, and many other countries in the field of higher education and specific research. This is due to the amount of fund spent on students in the field of higher education, the percentage of allocations for higher education in the general budget, the total number of external students, around 170,000 studying abroad, and the number of business administration institutes. More than 20 Saudi universities were established during the last 7 years. The launch in September 2009 of graduated university in Saudi Arabia, the Coast University, which have 10 billion endowment, the 6th largest in the world. The Dubai International Academic City includes universities and research and development centers from developing countries such as India, Iran, and Pakistan, as well as industrialized countries such as Australia, Belgium, France, and UK. 10 billion foundation to narrow the Arab knowledge gap. The Mohammed bin Maktoum Foundation support establishing scientific research centers in the Arab universities, offer research grants to the Arab researchers. Also, 1 billion, the higher education city in Bahrain, to post for Middle East science, aims to encourage educational innovation to fill the skills gap in the markets, to include laboratories, international centers for research, specialist academy, as well as branch of foreign universities. The first internet-based electronic university for Asia and Middle East. Qatar also has officially opened with 800 billion the Science Park to attract start-up enterprises in the field of energy, environment, health science, and information and communication technology. The park has an innovation and technology transfer center. It encourages the transfer of technology, knowledge, and skills and start-up enterprises. That's all, and thanks for listening.
I thank you also for this very clear and really unambiguous facts on your situation.
Yes.
Are there questions? If not, we will conclude this.
Just one quick question. When you say, when you are counting papers coming out of the Arabic universities, do you mean by this papers where some of the authors or all the authors have an Arabic university address, or you go by names, because a lot of these people who are abroad, of course, publish under a different address. How do you count them?
No,
because Reuters doesn't allow
I think this statistics comes from the international database, such as Focus.
Okay. So that really goes by the address. Yes.
So we will proceed with a contribution by Professor Valentin Milcheski from Macedonia on the situation in his country.
So, dear colleagues, dear Humboldtians, dear Professor Loris, dear Professor Alessandra, Humboldt Foundation, dear Dr. Hesse, really thank you very much for invitation. I'm really happy being here for the third time in Italy in such occasions. So let me just give you few information regarding my country and some ideas for further cooperation. First a little bit different presentation, then so far just to entertain you a little bit. Macedonia in this format is relatively new country, so many people still lack information regarding the country. So really small one located in the heart of the Balkans. You know, before it was part of many big imperies, and it was part of Yugoslavia, of course. So as all other Mediterranean countries, you know, country of lot of beauties, natural beauties, and having deep roots in Christian culture, of course. Even early Christian tradition, of course, enter in the Europe through that region, in the Balkan, ancient Macedonia, in Greece. So we share that. We have beautiful remnants, you know, dating deeply in the antique history of that region. We have beautiful mosaics, beautiful places to be visited, to be seen in Macedonia. But of course, being part almost for 5 centuries of the Ottoman Empire, nowadays I would say that we are happy that we are sharing the values of the West and of the East, you know. And I like to say, like in science, in chemistry, that we are an interface between East and West. Nowadays we can see in Macedonia typical signs of Western society and typical signs of Christian society, but also typical signs of Islamic Eastern society. And we are really happy because of that. We kept practically all monuments from the Ottoman Empire. We like them. And Macedonia nowadays exists as a really peaceful, coexisting mixture of nations and different confessions, although in very small place, in a small total amount only of 2 million of people, but really great variety we find there. So, as clever and nice people are everywhere, in Macedonia, of course, great people originating from there, contributing for the well-being of the society, and in the science, in the poetry, literature as well, and we are very proud because of that. We are unique by some really strange political obstacles. Probably we are the only country having troubles, difficulties because of the name that we have, you know, but considering how difficult is international politics, you know, this is nothing, and we are like peaceful paradise. So the university that I am coming from, St. Cyril and Methodius University, it is practically probably only 10 years older than your university here, but you say that your university is one of the youngest, and we say that our university is actually the oldest university that we have, and the biggest and the best university that we have. Of course, if we compare that on a regular European basis, it is just an average university, having all attributes of modern university, of course struggling with politics, with permanent economic crisis, to being better supported in the science and education and so on. But these are difficulties that we must solve. So the patrons behind the name of the university, of course, they are philosophers, Cyril and Methodius, and the student of them, Clement, that were creators of Cyrillic alphabet, that it is used now by millions of people in Europe, and that final codization of Cyrillic alphabet was done actually in beautiful city of Ohrid in Macedonia by the student Clement Ohridsky, we say, from this philosophers, starting from glagolic letters and then finally to the tribute of them termed Cyrillic alphabet, which is nowadays in use in many countries, as we know. So academic cooperation with Germany, of course, the main pillars there are Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, but DAD as well. And there I must mention the existence and the role of Alumni Association, which is, you see, Humboldt and DAD Alumni Association in Macedonia. Already 10 years are behind us, established by my own initiative after coming back from Germany as a Humboldt Research Fellow, just to integrate Macedonia in this network, having alumni. And we have done really a lot of efforts, although since now we didn't organize such an event as this one. It is time to do that. But anyway, we are very active inside the country. And the Alumni Association, you see, unifies Humboldt and DAD alumni because the proportion of the country. And it is not elite society. It should be inclusive, really, to integrate all members of the academic community that would like to foster, participate in the international cooperation, especially, of course, with Germany. And of course, that was very soon recognized by the DAD, that enthusiasm inside that alumni association, and DAD soon decided to have official representative office. Actually, the same office of the alumni association is now official representative office of DAD, which previously didn't exist in Macedonia. So we are really happy of all these activities. So I would mention that DAD for many years, especially in the last 10 years, is supporting the region, Southeastern European region, with special network projects to help in academic reconstruction of that part of Europe after all these political troubles there. And with respect to the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, apart from the individual approach, I would mention that this sort of instrument inside the foundation, which was established, as I remember, in 2004, research group linkage program, I would like to emphasize that it is particularly important for already Humboldtians in Macedonia, because these sort of projects really help to somehow to help to bigger institutions, to the universities, to foster the research through the foundation. But of course, the requirement for this is that research group linkage program could be established between the institution having already a Humboldtian and with some other host institution in Germany. So these projects I see very, very important, and probably this could be an instrument even for fostering regional cooperation in this part of the Europe. Academic cooperation with Italy, I try to study that, and although there are not some obvious organized structure and instruments, you know, but still individual seeking and creativity of the people cannot be stopped. And I detected, you know, several cooperations. Of course, they are mainly supported from the Italian side, but Macedonian people from the academic community participate there, and these are several universities. You know, the projects are mainly related, as far as I could found. It doesn't mean that it is whole. What exists in the pharmacy, medicine, civil engineering, especially some projects with this National Institute for Nuclear Physics here in Italy, related to the radio pharmacy projects and so on. And of course, some European regular programs, Tempus, help to have cooperation between Macedonia and Italy. A lot of transfer of knowledge from the research and education have been done from Italy to Macedonia and so on. And I know that Italy is also a loving destination for our students, you know, undergraduates. They like to come in Italy. I don't have concrete numbers, but probably it is a similarity in the mentality. It is not so difficult to learn the Italian language and so on. So we have also cooperation between alumni association, you know. thanks to the activity of the Alumni Association here in Italy, thanks to Professor Claudio Bori and Giacomo here, that I have been invited on this great event in Rome in 2011, when we have established the frame for cooperation. And we are really happy to have that frame. I would say now that we really should find some tools to add some more concrete materials inside that frame. I would say, what are the perspectives? This sort of networking is great, and we should probably make a networking based on subjects. We should really contribute in the understanding and friendship. It goes, of course, together. But we should find some way to convince national authorities to put really some concrete instruments, as Humboldt Foundation is doing, to foster, to have some real content in this cooperation. And I would finish with my general idea that we really need to work to expand the Humboldt spirit generally. With a Humboldt spirit, I understand really friendship, then real recognition and appreciation of the individual achievements, the lack of real discrimination and so on. So these are really great values that I have learned from overall Humboldt Foundation. So thank you very much for listening.
My name is Rosaria Rinaldi. I'm from University of Salento. I would like to tell you something about our Scuola Superiore Sufi, that is an excellent school, and it is based on excellence research and programs and excellence teaching and growth of students. So this is a good opportunity for collaboration across Europe, because the institute is an interdisciplinary institute, and is also based on internationalization programs and exchange of students and professors. Some professors are coming from abroad to teach to the school, and this is a very nice opportunity for everybody in the framework of European community collaboration. So first of all, I just would like to introduce myself. I'm a professor in condensed matter physics, and I work in the field of nanoscience and nanotechnology. In particular, I apply these nanotechnology tools to the study of understanding basic mechanisms in life science, because the nanometer scale is the scale of the length of some of the biological elements. And as you, okay. And also we fabricate some nanostructured materials with our facility in Lecce, and I apply this huge field that is a high interdisciplinary, based on the micro nanotechnology and system biology and medicine in different application fields. It is the bio-inspired fabrication, the molecular electronics, and micro devices, tissue engineering, and diagnostics. So coming back to the SUFI, we try to focus on students, and we try to focus on young people. And we focus on young people by involving them in something very challenging. And to do this, we try to combine research and teaching and some social commitments with this ideal growth community based on our young students and for purpose of innovation and growth. So what we do is to introduce new kind of subject in the studies in which the students can grow and can increase their experience and trying to meet this what they want for their life and their future, and concerning their expectation and also the possibility to go abroad and to compare their own knowledge with the one of the people in other countries and in other universities. So the school is organized in three main areas. We have the human science area and the social science and natural science. And we have students coming from all the faculties from our university and from all the degree courses. And then they have to do some learning paths and to integrate different knowledge and experience in cross-disciplinary and interdisciplinary fields. And also they start to learn something, and then they want to grow with other people with other kind of knowledge, and then they want to put in the field some innovative ideas in order to have a new perspective for their future. So there is a pathway. So we have a first level of education in which we have fundamental courses in the SUFI, and then we have a second level in which there are some small groups working together in some projects, and then the third level, that is the PhD or the master, so after the graduation of the students. So within the education in Europe, we have this nice diagram of the knowledge triangle. The knowledge triangle, as you know, is based on innovation, research, and education. And so actually we would like to do the same. within the school. So we would like to have this very high innovative way to integrate the courses of the students in the main area, and then to put their activity in the research and in order to have a big innovation in the field of different fields and disciplines. So the main goals are the multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary character of the pathways of learning. Then we have the scientific and training laboratory, where the students can put in practice what they learn in the theoretical courses. And then we have in Isufi College, where they can live together, and then they can also host students coming from abroad and professors in the Erasmus and in collaboration activities, and also for the international PhD school. So these are some images of the structures that we have and the location, and thank you for your attention. Yes, this is like all the excellent school all over the world. It is a residential school where students of different fields and courses live together, all in the same place, and we have some common place for studying, seminar rooms, classroom, and everything, and then they can live together there. So coming from different faculties, they can also study together and meet the focus of interdisciplinary by exchanging knowledge. Yes, actually there are about 70, but we can host up to 150 students.
Yes, well, thank you to the organizers, and thank you for the chair. Bad news, no slides. Good news, short representation. Just a few facts and figures. I shall talk as an administrator. I'm actually an historian, so I don't belong here perhaps. So I'm going to talk about the future. Let me first say that we shall welcome the visit of the Minister of Research of Egypt to Turin on June 15. We are very happy about that. We have chosen Turin to welcome them because we have a very interesting Egyptian museum. So the visit will be held in Turin for 2 days, and we're going to discuss a few things. But the first item is Mediterranean research. And I don't know if you're familiar with the acronym. The acronym is PRIMA, PRIMA, Partnership in Research and Innovation in the Mediterranean Area. This is a very important initiative that was started last May during the Greek presidency and was taken up during the Italian presidency. If you are familiar with European legislation, you will see that this is an application of Article 185 of the European Statute that says that member countries can put together resources for independent research projects that are complementary to Horizon 2020. So now we are closely monitoring the setting up of this Partnership in Research and Innovation in the Mediterranean area, and we are doing some progress, although we are not yet so far that we can say we're going to do that. But still, it's a project that was started in 2012. It relies on the precedent projects of the Baltic Sea, Baltic was also in Article 185, a North Sea, North Face, a second successful 185. Now we want to do the 185 Mediterranean. Now, question is, what do we put into it? Answer, obviously, the sea. It's a project about research on water, transportation, pollution, pipelines going under. It's about the sea. Second item, it's about food. We don't want people in the Mediterranean area to suffer hunger. We want to have an increase of agriculture in the Mediterranean area. So sea and food. And what else? Well, that's a good question. And now I'm talking about my agency. I'm talking about the National Research Council, who has a strategy on that. Well, the third item is migrations. Migrations. We realize that Mediterranean is a crossroad, and that we have to make it possible for European society to be what it says, namely an innovative, an inclusive, a reflective, and a secure society. This is the goal. All right. Now, let me now talk about what we actually do at CNR on this. And we do research in social sciences and humanities. Now, there are no slides, but you can do the math on your own. If you take the ERC, the subdivision of the ERC in 3 slices of the pie is 45% for physics and engineering, 37% for life sciences, and 18% for social sciences and humanities, which is very good. I mean, 18% for social science and humanities in 360 pi is very good. Because if you look at what happens in all universities, it may be that it's 5% or 10%. At CNR, we have 10%. I'm happy about that. I'm defending that a lot. Now, let's see what happens. I mean, if you talk with, I remember Mrs. Queen, Geoghegan Queen, and she kept saying that the priorities in Europe are climate change, aging society, and energy. And we keep saying, I mean, we Italians, that's a government choice, I mean, it's one of the priorities, that cultural heritage is also a priority. So what do we want to do about that? Well, we can work. I mean, I see there are 2 directions. The first direction is with the Mediterranean initiative, we can work with the South Shore of Mediterranean and consider also aspects that concerns the lives of the people. Now, that was a very hot issue, I must say, before the Arabic Spring. At that time, most governments of the South Shore were willing to adhere to the Italian proposition that cultural heritage was going to be a part of this research effort. But after their revolutions, the new governments didn't want to stick into that. I mean, it's a big problem, what happens. Now we are recovering, and actually we are very happy with what happens in Egypt. We are very happy. The fact that the Egyptian research minister goes to Turin and sees Egyptian museums, it's a very good sign. We appreciate that. But still, we have a pan-European effort, and I was talking with Franco figures before we started. As a matter of fact, if you look at the pie of the research infrastructures of the S3 roadmap, you will see that there are so and so many research infrastructures currently active. 6 of them are social science and humanities, and the cut of the pie is 10%, which is not too bad. Again, it's not too bad. With 10% of the big of 240 million, we can do something. And as a matter of fact, the research infrastructure budget for Horizon 2020 is 1.5 billion. So you have 10% of that. It's okay. Now, what are the interesting research infrastructures? Well, the 2 interesting research infrastructures I would like to name regard Germany, and they are DARIA and Hyperion CH. DARIA is a digital research infrastructure, arts and humanities. It's located in Berlin, although it is the ERIC is based in Paris, so it's an Anglo-French infrastructure, and Italy has joined, and we are having a very big push on that. And so I named Daria as an example of Italian scholars looking at Germany at this moment. And then we have retroactive Italian scholars who have proposed to German scholars participation in the research infrastructure in heritage science, which is an Italian initiative, and which has substantial partners in Germany. And the two infrastructures, Daria and Dependent CH, are complementary because one is about immaterial, it's an electronic infrastructure, it's immaterial cultural heritage. The other is about material cultural heritage, which is artifacts that otherwise get lost. So yes, this is a framework I wanted to outline. On one side, pushing forward the initiative of Mediterranean research, which is going to be, I mean, it's started, we have to implement it, we have to design it. And second, collaborative research in research infrastructures, which is really, if you look at worldwide, it's one of the big inventions of Europe in the research policy agenda. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a very nice contribution, also from another point of view, but very relevant for our subject. Are there questions already now? We will come back to a discussion round. I hope there will be some interest from the audience, but urgent, direct, related to the subject questions are welcome, please. So I don't see them. Let's proceed in our piece of Italian contributions with Professor Francesco Gianfusco.
Imagine this. 9. No, I don't think it's this. Yes. Okay. Well, I was told by our chair that in fact we have to talk only about 10 minutes. So I prepared this morning a few transparencies and decided to give just one example of something which is very much of a European activity, but which at the same time may not be well known to our colleagues for the Mediterranean countries, and where, as it happens, they could be partner members, I think all of them. I checked quickly this morning, and I think that all of them could be partner members. And the example that I want to give is something called the COST action. COST is an acronym which has a cooperation of science and technology, and it's essentially been functioning for about 10 years in Europe very effectively, creating different network projects in the area of the basic sciences and also on the technological side. The average duration of one of these actions is about 4 to 5 years. It involves up to 15 different countries and at least 2 centers in each country. And the interesting part is the fact that one can have annual meetings, as I've listed here. Well, let's see if the pointer can help us.
Du kannst hier mit dem Pfeil.
Yeah, that's like it's better. Yeah, good, better. So there are annual meetings, which means that every year there will be one topical meeting organized by this, the organizing committee, but essentially involving all the 15 countries. The biennial, I lost my mouse here. Oh, yes. Then the biannual conferences, that these are actually conferences that take place in making the sort of statement about the overall activities of the cost action. But the most important thing that people find very useful is really a large sequence of, if I get my pointer back, wo ist das? Oh, okay. Okay. The short-term scientific missions. This really means that people from the various countries can visit one another through this STSM for periods up to a month, and the funding is provided by the COST network. So typically, young men or women who are in some of the Mediterranean countries who have joined into this network can then visit laboratories. Our senior people can go for a week, or junior people can go up to 2 months, and there is support of the visit and financial support, and there are usually plenty of financing. Most of the financing really goes into the short-term scientific missions. So this is typically one way in which one can bring up to speed some of the laboratories in the collaborative countries in your part of the world that they would like to collaborate with European groups. Now, the cost action has to be started by a member of the European network, but very often they are started all over the place, and it's important. For instance, we just started one in molecular astrophysics, and Turkey is one of the collaborative countries, which means there is a representative from Turkey that will come to the meeting, and then there will be Turkish scientists who will come to collaborate with the people in these other countries. And so it's open, as I said before, to non-EU countries, and the associated partnership is approved, but it's usually approved because the whole idea of the cost action is to get a lot of people involved. And I repeat again what I mentioned before, the short-term scientific missions, the annual meeting, and the biannual conferences. And then the proposals are presented several times a year, and you can actually contact colleagues you have in European countries and suggest that they get ready preparing a proposal for a cost action, and there are many representatives already in place in many countries that can be used as channels to organize the cost action. So a cost action for the fundamental sciences is actually a very good way of getting people bring more contact, more frequent contacts with European countries. It's not sure that it will continue after the 2020, but in fact so far is already there, and I think it would be a good thing for all of you to try and get into it. And that's all I wanted to say.
Substantial European contribution.
Yes, yes. The main network has to be based on European countries, but you can have a certain number of other countries. We usually have 3 or 4. There is no limit, upper limit to the number of countries making up the network. Now, of course, the hard work has to be done by some initial group in the country. But the interesting thing is that if you have some idea of a possible topic for a cost action, and you know colleagues in Europe who work in that area, you can actually be the informal initiator by just pestering them and say, well, look, how about starting a new cost action in this area where we can also participate? And it's something that one can do beforehand. So you start suggesting it, and I'm sure you can find people who want to pick it up and then organize the project. Because it doesn't matter that the presentation has to be done by one particular member of the network. If somebody else does the hard work of preparing the project, somebody would be very glad to take it up and present it.
caught a cold. I'm sorry. No, I didn't prepare anything, so I have no slides to show. But entering the spirit of this discussion, I just want to mention some of the opportunities that can come to my mind, which in particular the INFN that I'm representing here can offer to also to scientists from the Middle East, for instance. First of all, we have a sort of bilateral collaborations which can be started simply, of course, in the fields covered by the institute that is nuclear physics, but also applied nuclear physics, as I mentioned this morning. If you have any colleague that you know in one of the structures of the INFN, and it is not necessary that he or she is just an employee of INFN, because INFN, I didn't tell it this morning, but is completely merged to the universities. So, I mean, I'm a university professor, although being in the INFN. So if you have a corresponding person that has common scientific interests, you can be invited on special funds for periods up to 1-2 months and be paid by the INFN for the travel expenses and for the living expenses in the structure where you have your corresponding person. That is one of the ways. Then there are also some 40 postdoc grants per year which are offered to foreign students coming from all over the world, but of course, I mean, and the experience shows that many of these postdoc students have come from southern Mediterranean countries. So this is another opportunity. The call comes once per year, and so if you follow the website of INFN, you can find this opportunity. And the third thing that, also in my personal experience, we have very often hosted the stages of people coming from Jordania, from Morocco, from Syria, I don't think from Egypt. This is an experience just in Florence through the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, that sends to us, that pays people for making short-term or longer-term stages in national laboratories of INFN, or also in other structures like in Florence, for instance. And this is especially in connection to applications. We had people coming to learn how to use the techniques that I quickly showed this morning, for instance, for the applications both to the cultural heritage and also to the environmental problems, environmental monitoring, and so on. And this passes through the IAEA that then sends us people for these stages. And the last thing that comes to my mind, you may have noticed that I was using the telephone, but it was just to remember the exact acronyms. I mean, Italy is involved in a big project in Jordan, which is the Sesame project, yes. You know, of course, where the director, by the way, is an Italian, is Paolucci, coming from Trieste, from the synchrotron in Trieste. Electra. So sorry, Electra. What did I say? You didn't say anything. Okay, so, okay. But I said Trieste. Okay. It is not INFN, indeed. It's an independent, but we have a strong link with them. But INFN is also involved. Sesame is an acronym which stands for what? That's why I was trying. It's what? It's anyway. ME at the end means Middle East, so it's a synchrotron something for Middle East. It will be the largest synchrotron light facility in the Middle East, and as you know, synchrotron light has a lot of important applications, for instance, in biology. And this is also an opportunity, in this case also for the Italians, but not only the Italians, to bring their expertise into your countries, but also for an exchange of scientists coming to Italy, and for our scientists coming to Jordan, in this case, to work there and help as possible, the development of new technologies in your countries. So this is more or less what came to my mind concerning these problems. I had a crisis of allergy. Sorry.
Let me come to the German perspective and would like to ask Kollege Stöcker to make his statement, his point of view on this subject.
Well, of course, we rely 100% on the Humboldt Foundation. And I think, you have heard what Dr. Hesse had said in his talk. I think there is one problem with Humboldt, and I discussed it with him. I think there is not enough Humboldtianers which have the possibility in the South Shore countries, as we have just heard, have the possibility of starting group efforts. It's always individual, individual, individual. This is fine for European, Americans, even Russians. I think in the Levante and also in the Maghreb, it would be important, and in Egypt, which is neither, it would be important to have a start for, you have 400, but the other countries have much fewer. Yes. Libya, Tunis, yes. Much fewer Humboldtianers. So I think in order to achieve progress there, you need some seed money for a collective effort to found groups. Maybe graduate school with the DAAD together with German and Italian colleagues also. But those people are so few in these countries, so very few, that there is not enough collectivity yet, and there is not enough academic life yet. So I think this would be something important to start. And there is, of course, DAAD and Humboldt. There is possibilities to collaborate with German universities, with German research centers. But the German, for instance, Helmholtz, cannot look for individuals. This is what Humboldt does. But to get enough individuals in the first place into a country, we need an additional instrument. That's what I wanted to say. I was extremely short on this issue in Germany. We had the same situation that for the fair facility, which I spent 44 minutes I actually was told this morning, so very good in time. We had not enough people involved anymore in Germany in accelerator science. It's a big project. The accelerator is actually very complicated, many different pieces, superconducting, normal conducting, linear storage ring, and synchron, and there was not enough substance there. So what we had to do is we had to install, I think we installed 6 or 7 accelerator chairs at universities which would start contributing to this project. And only then, there was also students coming in, only then it was possible to really generate a move, a collective move, not as just a single particle motion. And I think this is something which, maybe not in Egypt, but in the Maghreb countries, definitely. There are so few, one needs to have an initiative. And the problem, you mentioned it very clearly, the problem is the governments are not behind that.
Yes.
So that's, I think, really a major obstacle. And not in Jordan, not in Egypt, but in the other countries. Very difficult. Maybe Morocco it would be okay, but the spring countries have a big problem.
more on this subject.
So to keep my contribution brief, I will concentrate on the Humboldt Foundation view and answer on Professor Stöcker. And I just refer to what Professors Pozzo and Jean Toko already said, so I can concentrate on the Humboldt Foundation view. How developed the cooperation between Germany, Italy, and the MENA region? I think there is activity going on that's increasing, at least from our point of view. That's great. For example, this colleague, however, much more has to happen, and there I totally agree with Professor Stöcker. So the next question is, what role could the Humboldtians play in an increased interactivity in the MENA region? And from our point of view, they could be a core group. And the necessity is there to increase that core group. But first of all, how is the stage set from the Humboldt Foundation's view? First of all, we try to do whatever we can in order to decrease brain drain in these regions. Of our research fellows from these countries, about 95% return to their home countries or to developing countries. And we do support that, for example, with return fellowships. So, in fact, we just give them money when they return to their home countries. That's quite simple. We try to give them a chance to return to Germany whatsoever and to get back into the active science business now and then. So they do need that. On the other hand, having received a Humboldt Fellowship, that opens up, as I said, the Humboldt network. There are chances to interconnect with other Humboldtians in the region, with other countries around the Mediterranean. And whereas the majority of our alumni sponsorship schemes concentrate on the collaboration between individuals abroad and researchers in Germany, there are others that are open to include third-party countries, for example, Italy, Greece, whatsoever. So there is a chance. And as I said during my presentation before, that there are somewhat rising numbers of fellows from the Middle East, North Africa region. However, the absolute numbers are extremely small, and we have to work with the Humboldtians there to increase these numbers as soon as possible. We do already have some special fellowship opportunities for scientists and scholars from that region. But in the end, we have to rely on Humboldtians in order to identify those young scientists and scholars whom they find appropriate to become members of the Humboldt network. With regard to Professor Stöcker's idea to have such a research group program, I absolutely agree, and there is at least one attempt of the Humboldt Foundation to get into that business. There is the African Institute of Mathematical Sciences. The idea behind that institution is pretty simple, but it's compelling. And the idea behind that... And
4 countries.
Sorry?
It's in 4 countries, right?
Yeah. The idea behind that is, without a rapid development of mathematics, nothing will change in Africa, because you need it for business, you need it for governance, you need it for whatever, you need it for everything. So if you don't have good mathematics in Africa, there won't be any development. The idea isn't bad. That's a great idea, I think. So what to do about that? The idea what they have to do about that is to have 15 centers working not nationally, but including neighboring countries whatsoever. And they concentrate on the graduate education in mathematical sciences. They have already started 4 of these centers, or 5 even. And what the German research ministry does via the Humboldt Foundation is to build up research professorships there. And that's exactly what we do. And so that's what we try. And in fact, we had tried to convince the research ministry to have a junior researchers group. They did not yet understand what we want to do. But we keep on working on that. So that's from the Humboldt Foundation point of view.
So thank you. We are perfect in time. I think we can broaden this discussion a little bit more, maybe a last round, and also the audience is really invited to give their or to share their thoughts. And from my point of view, I'm in between. I'm from a big university. I'm from one of the second biggest of Germany. And in two parts, we don't make any difference with Italy, Spain, Greece. The European Union made us all more or less equivalent, and whether you have a Finnish colleague sitting at the collaboration meeting or a Spanish colleague, that doesn't matter. We are sharing national infrastructures, we are sharing accelerators, we have an experiment running at GSI, we go to France, we work at Legnaro, a Japanese laboratory, and we are all collaborating. And the big question is how can we extend this and really overcome, of course, the difficulties in this region. And this is somehow what makes me so surprised again, how big is this gap between what we want to reach and what we see actually, and that there is really a lot of effort needed. And I found this very, very interesting thing, and we are all convinced that we have this idea that it doesn't help, you have to come to this science level to be competitive, and this is the right way. And I also don't have a better idea. But the first thing is that the project which was presented by you, the Sesame, is of course one of the big steps that you also indicated that it is not meaningful to bring all these talents and gifted people abroad, and then you have this brain drain that only a minor fraction, and presumably not the most gifted people are then coming back, and we have to be more appealing, you have to be more attractive for these people coming back, and that is, I think, one of the basic ideas, that this Sesame is an installation, top level, with broad science perspective in different fields, from biophysics up to accelerator physics. It's covering all these regions. And this is somehow something which presumably is for you the most relevant things, and you are providing the talents in your institutions. You have the right way to educate these people. This is maybe the right way. This is why I think this is the right way. But you make me really make it puzzled. You go to this idea that the common subject is the sea and food. And this is the real thing. Is there not a big gap between the level we are thinking we have to be competitive and what is really the reality? It's not an excellence in agriculture and an excellence in this more basic engineering and step we should not forget. Can we disentangle this? I think this is really, that was the thing which brought me down. From our thinking, that we are doing top science, but for who? You have shown these numbers: 8,000 PhDs in Egypt, and they can follow and read all these papers, and they can appreciate the efforts of this fraction. So maybe this is something where decent science culture, also this is existing in Italy and all other countries that don't get Nobel Prizes, but if you have a good idea to increase the fertility of your soil, this is extremely helpful, and this needs also smart people. Sorry, that was maybe a too general comment, but this is maybe the opportunity to reply on all these ideas which were just coming up from your side.
I actually have a quick comment on what you just said. Maybe it didn't come out during the discussion, but one of the problems with the many universities that exist in the Middle East and now in the Arabic countries is, and was mentioned in one of your transparencies, I think, and it's the matter of how the education is carried out. We are not talking, this is a different level. We are not talking about bringing up researchers to the Western standards or looking at citations and all the rest, but how do we form the first level of the tertiary education, the sort of undergraduates? And it turns out that one of the problems with the Arabic countries is, in fact, the teaching infrastructure, which is very different from the ones that have been honed and developed in some of the most successful countries in just transferring education. I mean, I'm not talking about middle-age education, I'm talking about the last 150 years. And if you look at that, countries like the UK and the United States have been very effective in developing this sort of middle-low range of third-level education. And in fact, what has happened in Saudi Arabia and in Bahrain is that they've paid off by having transferred American models and English models to those countries. The University of Oxford and University of Cambridge have been given a lot of money to create a branch in those countries where they go and teach the conventional subjects that are taught in Oxford and Cambridge. And of course, this is done also by some of the Ivy League universities. Harvard has done this, Yale, Princeton, and Stanford that I know of. They are opening branches paid by the millions of the oil that the Arabs seem to put together. And so you are staying in Riyadh, or you are staying in another of those cities there, but you're actually going to a university that provides you in the end with an Oxford degree, a Cambridge degree, a Yale or Harvard degree. And this is very attractive to the young men and women of those countries, a lot of which apply to go and study to those very universities. So this is another way of coming in, and certainly those countries, those top universities in the world have discovered this, and they go in to the tune of millions of dollars because of course to create a replica of an undergraduate coursework of Harvard in Riyadh is not a cheap business. And of course the universities also get a lot of this money, not only to their teachers that go there, but it's really the selling of a brand. So I wonder whether there is an educational brand or some other European brand that we can arrange to provide the many millions of students. You mentioned that in Egypt there are 2 million university students. Now in this country there are now a little over 1 million. We have gone down to what we had before. So these are large numbers of people who want to go through a third level law education. And we have to think of the models that we could transfer. Certainly those universities I mentioned are thinking about it and doing something which turns out to be, I'm not sure is very successful, but certainly very financially rewarding. There is one problem there, that back in the universities, there has been a lot of protest for providing educational help to a country which is known for social injustice, like Saudi Arabia. But this is another issue. Then. Okay.
Thank you. Please feel free to contribute. There will be a reply.
Actually, I have 2 comments about this meeting. First, although we are in Humboldt College and it is supposed to be just through the Humboldt Foundation, we should talk how to improve our collaboration, but I think such meetings have an added value, which is meeting people, and through each one through his own network can propagate for collaboration even through other programs not sponsored by the Humboldt Foundation. And I think what Professor Buzu and Professor Hurst and Professor Mando exposed about their projects and such things and how to collaborate with southern countries, I think on the spot I can recommend names in tens who can actually be involved in such projects, and I think it will be a good way to have these projects or collaboration done. So this is number 1. Number 2, regarding the levels of collaboration. Usually it starts with individual, followed by projects, followed by institutions. So I think for the projects, for the individuals to be this one, so I think the reliable part will be the Humboldt Foundation because it sponsors individuals, not institutes, not projects. And whenever this step is done, by default you'll find that you are going for Horizon 2020 projects. You are going for institutional integration between different institutes, and so on. And I think this will be the right way, is to work at different levels, and in the final we come with what we are looking for, which is better collaboration between southern countries and northern countries in a way which serves the interest of the two parties. Okay. I can tell you that among, but not expose what is German about the German University in Cairo, is that each student has to study 4 basic levels of German. And to the statistics we have now,
You mean
35
German language, not in German language, but to
German,
learn German language.
yes, 4 basic courses of Deutsch. And those students, 35% of them did go to Germany for some time, ranging from 1 semester up to 1 year. 35% of the students we have now. And I can tell you, according to the statistics we have, more than 400 students or graduates of the GUC are doing their master and PhD in Germany, most in Germany, 80%, and 20% in other countries. And what is good about these students, they can easily be integrated in the international societies they are in, particularly in Germany. And even I can also tell you a lot of names who are now graduates of the GUC or working at the German University in Cairo, and now they are group leaders and very famous postdocs in their fields here in Germany. So this is one of the things I can tell you about the German University in Cairo. One thing, it has also been changed in the culture itself. For example, in secondary school, we used to have, by tradition, we used to have English as the first foreign language to be studied, followed by French. And this is due to historical reasons. Now in secondary schools, we have, of course, English as the first foreign language, followed by German or Deutsch as the second foreign language. And of course, this led our people more attached to the German culture, to the German societies, and I think this will be rewarding very soon.
That's of course very nice for your graduates, and is the level of excellence you achieve when you follow all these standards, but you will lose more and more of all your talents to Germany because of the brain drain will be enforced. Our need for this type of professionals is increasing, so it's good for Germany if you're doing a good job.
You have to compromise between the two, yes.
Counterproductive in some way, but it is like this. You also want to comment?
Yes, well, I was once in 2009, Humboldt fellows were invited from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Germany to start on what was called the Initiative Außenwissenschaftspolitik. It was a very interesting initiative. I learned a lot. I took it month by month. So Germany has a Außenwissenschaftspolitik, a foreign policy of science. Now, the question is, do we have it in Europe? Answer. Well, as a matter of fact, Europe has a distinctive model. This is something I'd like to stress. You see, I once had bad chance of being the only European in the UNESCO panel. The Russian spoke, the Japanese spoke, the American spoke, and the French and the German and the Dutch, the panel. I was alone. I spoke about Italy. I spoke about Italy, but was said. I spoke about Europe, but was less said. What is the European model? Well, the European model is a requisite to have more countries, more languages for each project, for each infrastructure. We are not monolingual, we are not monocultural, we have to mix it continuously. And now the question is, and this is something we have to work on with our representative, in the High Representative for Foreign Policy in Europe, which is currently an Italian, Mogherini, is about to develop a part of her office, which has been hardly developed during their first commissioner, Lady Ashton. This office is called Service for Foreign Policy Instruments. It's part of the High Representative for Foreign Policy. Now, what do we have there? Well, we have cooperation. We have cooperation with industrialized countries, like Europe and Korea, or we have cooperation with in developing countries. And now the point is, if we are good at implementing this model of projects that are doable because there are a number of countries, a number of groups, a number of languages, we have to extend it to the South Shore of the Mediterranean, and we have to find a way. And you see, it's about, so what Germany has done in 2009 with the Initiative of the Wissenschaftspolitik, we have to have a similar European initiative. And I think we can do it, provided we talk clear to each other.
Close to a final concluding statement, but I agree with you. It is not a national effort, but a group of countries, the European Union, which are taking care of this subject. At the moment, I don't see other contributions, and I also learned that you have your assembly at 6:30, and we are perfectly timed. So I would like to thank all the contributors on nice presentation, your thoughts on this subject, and I close this discussion round.
Thank you very much.
Ja, das wird schwer. Das wird Libyen, Tunesien, Algerien.
I will look at your contact. Das ist das ganz große Problem.